Plus, key Democratic races in Virginia as incumbents step down.
A sad day for baseball fans. The Hall of Fame center fielder Willie Mays has died at the age of 93. His all-around skills made him one of the greatest baseball players of all time.
Russia and North Korea sign a vow of mutual aid if either country is attacked. This could be the strongest agreement between the two since the collapse of the Soviet Union.
And a once-in-a-lifetime celestial event, NASA gives details on a nova so bright that it can be seen on Earth with the naked eye.
This is NTD News Today, live from our NTD Global Headquarters. Here are Stephania Cox and Chris Beers.
You know, this heat wave is making headlines, but one of the reasons is because it's coming earlier in the season than other heat waves might, so it's breaking all these records. And also, it's going to last a bit longer than other heat waves. It could even go into Monday.
Wow. Okay, so we'll have a nice day at the beach on Sunday, hopefully. But
That's right.
I did see one guy on Twitter saying that, you know, a lot of people are calling this a heat wave, but for people in Texas, they just call it summer. So just make sure, folks out there, that you're having enough water as the heat continues through the week. To begin the show, cities across the U.S. are breaking decades-old temperature records. As we just said, a massive heat wave covering the central and eastern parts of the country.
Roughly 80 million people from Indiana to New England are under a heat advisory or excess heat warning. Officials are cautioning the hot weather could turn deadly.
Chicago registered 97 degrees, breaking a record set in 1957. Detroit and Philadelphia and cities like New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Maine are also due for record temperatures in the coming days. Central Maine is running 30 degrees above average, and it's hot in this studio as well.
In the south, tropical storm Alberto is battering Texas with wind gusts of up to 70 miles per hour. Rains are expected to dump 5 to 10 inches on South Texas today, bringing the possibility of flash flooding. The rain will move into New Mexico tomorrow and should last until Friday.
And here in New York, state parks will be free today and on Thursday to help residents beat the heat.
Governor Kathy Hochul said sprays and misters are being added to several sites in the city, and several beaches and pools are temporarily open ahead of the regular season.
At least one person, though, has died in the New Mexico wildfire that forced thousands to flee their homes. New Mexico's governor said yesterday that 2 people were injured and treated for non-life-threatening injuries as well.
Meanwhile, California is also battling wildfires. Here are the updates.
As of Wednesday, fire crews are still fighting the New Mexico fires, where 2 fast-moving fires converged together near the southern part of the state. The entire village of Ruidoso was told to evacuate yesterday. The town of about 8,000 people has been closed down.
We knew it was urgent because usually they say ready, set, go. And ready, you could be there for a day or two. Set is a couple hours usually. Go means now. And the call was for our area. We never got ready, set. It was go. And within an hour, the police department, the fire department, they're blocking, barricading the roads to our area and telling everybody to leave.
New Mexico's utility company says it's shutting down power for public safety reasons, affecting about 800 customers. Red Cross reported nearly 400 people checked into shelters in Roswell and Capitan. The South Fork fire covers around 15,000 acres and is 0% contained according to New Mexico fire data. Local officials say about 1,400 structures have been lost. The fire was discovered at 9 a.m. on Monday, burning around the village of Ruidoso. It connected with the Salt Fire, covering over 5,000 acres, which is 1% contained. Meanwhile, California is battling 11 wildfires. In Southern California, the LA County Fire Department says the Post fire burned more than 15,000 acres and is 30% contained around 65 miles northwest of Los Angeles.
We have 2.5 years of unburned fuel in a lot of places because we haven't had a big major fire over the last couple of seasons. We've had them just bumping off, but not to this size. So there's a lot of unburnt fuel out there and a lot of growth. And with the wind and the low humidity.
Northern California also has the Sites Fire, which sent black clouds of smoke into the air in Colusa County. About 1,000 people were evacuated. The fire departments are battling high temperatures, low humidity, and strong winds which CAL FIRE says hamper their containment efforts.
A highly trained firefighting team is working against the post-fire burning near Los Angeles. The Texas Canyon Hotshot crew is part of U.S. Forest Service.
Reuters joined the team as they set out to some of the most inaccessible terrain in the path of the blaze. The Hotshot superintendent says the crew is built for these moments.
The challenge is what makes it important for us because it allows us to showcase the skill set that we have. All the traditional stuff is great and it allows us to expand and showcase the skill set that we have.
The Hotshots are a United States Forest Service team based in Santa Clarita, north of LA. Brooklander says it's normal for the crew to hike slopes at up to 90% incline, past smoldering trees, carrying heavy gear in the sun for hours at a time as they engage in direct suppression efforts. They sometimes sleep in the backcountry so they can pick up again the next morning right where they left off, coordinating with water-dropping aircraft and other firefighters via radio. Although it's early in the season for a fire of this size, the USFS wasn't surprised.
It's early in the season, yes, and it didn't catch us off guard because we were warned by the Weather Service for high winds, and we are monitoring the fuel moisture content, so we have about an idea of how the fire should spread.
Brooklander expects a busy fire season this year as the Hotshots prepare to answer calls for their services across the country.
It's repetitive to say it's the most extreme fire season on record. It's going to be different pockets within the United States that we're going to be diverted to. Our resources, nationally shared resources, are going to be diverted to.
Next, some news from the primaries. One of America's most conservative congressmen faced a tight renomination battle in Virginia. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on that and other primary results.
You know why we win? Because we're right.
House Freedom Caucus Chair Bob Good, seeking a third term in Virginia's 5th District, was challenged by State Senator John McGuire. With 96% of ballots counted, McGuire led by 327 votes, just over half a percentage point. McGuire claimed victory late Tuesday, but the race has not been called. Good initially endorsed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for president, angering former President Trump, but switched back after DeSantis dropped out. Trump endorsed McGuire, supporting him in a Monday night telephone rally. In Virginia, candidates who lose by less than 1% can request a recount. Meanwhile, Democrats in Northern and Central Virginia selected nominees to replace popular incumbents not seeking re-election. In House District 7, Eugene Vindman won a crowded Democratic primary to replace Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, who is running for governor in 2025. In House District 10, Suhas Subramaniam emerged from a field of 12 Democrats to replace Representative Jennifer Wexton, who is not seeking re-election due to a rare neurological illness. Statewide, voters selected Navy veteran Hung Tsao as the Republican nominee to challenge Democrat Tim Kaine for the U.S. Senate. The Trump-endorsed Tsao prevailed over 4 opponents. In Oklahoma, Republican Congressman Tom Cole won his primary, defeating businessman Paul Bonder and 3 others in the solidly Republican 4th District. In Georgia's 3rd District, Brian Jack, former White House political director under Trump, won the Republican primary runoff against State Senator Mike Dugan. Jack is expected to be the strong favorite in November to succeed retiring GOP Representative Drew Ferguson. Additionally, former Trump official Wayne Johnson defeated Charles Hand III in a Republican primary runoff. Hand, convicted for his alleged involvement in the January 6th Capitol breach, was vying for a House seat. Johnson will challenge Democratic Representative Sanford Bishop in the general election for the reliably Democratic district. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
And former President Trump is addressing the crisis at the southern border and the economy in his campaign speeches. Here he is at a rally in Wisconsin.
During my term, we had gasoline down to $1.87 a gallon. And by the end, the 30-year mortgage rate was 2.7%. Think of that, and now it's 10%, 11%, 12%, and you can't get the money, so it doesn't make any difference. They can tell you what the rate is, but you can't get the money.
Trump promised to stop what he called wasteful spending and to terminate policies he connected with the Green New Deal.
The Tuesday campaign event took place in the city of Racine, Wisconsin.
Trump's speech came hours after Biden announced a new plan to provide a pathway to citizenship for hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants who are married to U.S. citizens.
Trump attacked the policy, promising to reverse it, and he criticized immigration practices at the border. The former president complained of poor record keeping and lack of vetting at the border. President Biden raked in over $8 million at a fundraiser in Virginia. He was joined by former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe hosted the Tuesday event at his home in Virginia. Recent polls show Biden and Trump virtually tied in the state.
Biden and the Clintons attempted to contrast the current administration and former President Trump.
The fundraiser followed a star-studded cash haul in California last weekend when the president appeared with former President Obama.
Hollywood stars George Clooney, Julia Roberts, and Barbra Streisand attended the event that raised more than $30 million.
And the qualification window for CNN's presidential debate is approaching, and it may just be out of reach for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Candidates have until midnight tonight to meet the requirements for the first in-person debate of the 2024 election. So far, just 2 candidates, Biden and Trump, have qualified. Others have yet to meet CNN's qualifications, which include appearing on a sufficient number of state ballots to reach the 270 electoral vote threshold to win the presidency, and receiving at least 15% support in 4 separate national polls. RFK Jr. has achieved that in 3 polls, and he's not on the ballot in enough states yet. The 90-minute debate is set for next Thursday in Atlanta. And coming up, Republican senators block a bill to ban bump stocks, what they say the ban could mean for the firearms industry, and Democrats' counter-argument.
And with the 4th of July right around the corner, many Americans are looking forward to lighting fireworks. We have some tips from a fire chief to keep you safe during the celebrations. More after the break.
One in 5 children worldwide are faced with the reality of living without food. No family dinners, no special treats, not enough energy to play. All around the world, hunger is affecting children's physical and mental health. Toddlers are suffering from acute malnutrition, which stunts their growth. Kids are forced to drop out of school so they can help support their families. Conflict, inflation, and climate have ignited the worst famine in our lifetime. And we are fed up. Fed up that hunger devours dreams. Fed up that hunger destroys joy. Fed up with the fact that hunger eats childhood. Help us feed the futures of children all over the world by visiting getfedupnow.org. For as little as $10 a month, you can join Save the Children as we support children and families in desperate need of our help. Now is the time to get fed up and give back. When you join the cause, your $10 monthly donation can help communities in need of life-saving treatments and nutrients, prevent children from dropping out of school, support our work with communities and governments to help children go from short-term surviving to long-term thriving. And now, thanks to special government grants, every dollar you give can multiply up to 10 times the impact. That means more food, water, medicine, and help for kids around the world. You'll also receive a free tote bag to share your support for children in need. Having your childhood eaten away by hunger is unimaginable. Get fed up. Call us now or visit getfedupnow.org.
Looking for a healthy and smooth-tasting brew? Drop by Days Coffee Roasters today and explore our wide selection of specialty-grade, small-batch roasted coffee. home to North America's first enzyme-fermented coffee. We source a wide selection of specialty-grade coffee beans from around the world, and our baristas are ready to craft your customized brew. Visit Days Coffee at 28 North Street, Middletown, New York. Come experience a brew like no other.
My graduation was something I will never forget. People like you and me sometimes may have doubts in ourselves, but I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Join us on NTD Good Morning because we want you to stay informed.
Kickstart your morning with the latest you missed overnight.
Right, and don't forget that inspiration.
Absolutely, so let's shine some light on the good news too.
Tune in every weekday morning to NTD News.
A bill to ban bump stocks was blocked by Senate Republicans yesterday. Bump stocks can be used to convert semi-automatic rifles into weapons that can shoot hundreds of rounds per minute.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on the Judiciary be discharged from further consideration of S-1909, the Banning Unlawful Machine Gun Parts Act.
While some members of the GOP back a bump stock ban, others in the party disagree. That includes Senator Pete Ricketts of Nebraska, who called the bill an overreach.
He argued the bill would ban any item that makes firearms easier and, in some cases, safer to shoot. Last week, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a federal ban on bump stocks that former President Trump approved. And Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun has admitted company employees have retaliated against whistleblowers. In a nearly 2-hour-long hearing, Calhoun was grilled by a bipartisan Senate subcommittee.
Ethiopia flight.
Relatives of people killed in 2 crashes were in the room Tuesday to hear Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun respond to questions from senators about the company's safety culture. Hours before the hearing, the Homeland Security Subcommittee published a 200-plus page report detailing new allegations from a whistleblower. Sam Mohawk, a quality inspector for Boeing, alleges the company likely installed faulty parts on several airplanes, including the 737 MAX. A Boeing spokesperson said the company got the subcommittee report late Monday night and was reviewing the claims. When questioned about how Boeing has failed to protect whistleblowers, including Sam Mohawk, Calhoun said something went wrong. He cited company policy, saying he often rewards people who come forward with information. But he said he never actually met with any whistleblowers. He also said Boeing employees have been fired for retaliating against whistleblowers, but said he did not have the numbers.
How many of your employees have been fired for retaliating against whistleblowers?
Senator, I don't have that number on the tip of my tongue, but I know it. I know it happens. I know it happens.
Blumenthal pointed out that several whistleblowers have faced intense pressure from within the company. He said one whistleblower, John Barnett, was told by his supervisor, "I am going to push you until you break." Blumenthal said that Barnett died by suicide earlier this year. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley questioned why Calhoun hasn't resigned yet.
Senator, I'm sticking this through. I'm proud of having taken the job. I'm proud of our
this
safety record, and I am very proud of our Boeing people.
You're proud of this safety record?
I am proud of every action we have taken.
Every action you've taken?
Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow. There's some news for you.
Calhoun said he plans to retire by the end of the year. He told the panel Boeing made changes in management following the 2 fatal crashes in 2018 and 19. He said changes were also made after the Alaska Airlines door plug blowout in January. Calhoun has not yet announced his successor, but said he has a preferred candidate. Senator Blumenthal questioned whether these decisions would bring about meaningful changes at Boeing. He said even after Calhoun leaves, people within the current management structure would fill open positions.
Same individuals. Wouldn't you agree there has to be more accountability and a different team?
Not the same individuals. We try to select people who know a lot about airplanes.
The Justice Department said last month Boeing could be prosecuted for fraud. The company allegedly misled regulators who approved the 737 MAX. Senator Blumenthal said there is mounting evidence against the company.
Some family members who attended the hearing gathered outside the Senate chamber calling for criminal prosecution. They said Boeing executives have not been held accountable. Next, Canada's Westjet is canceling and consolidating flights ahead of an expected strike. The airline's mechanics union gave a 72-hour strike notice yesterday. The strike starts tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. The union said the strike covers about 680 aircraft maintenance engineers and other skilled employees. Westjet says about 6,500 customers will be impacted. The airline canceled roughly 40 flights scheduled for yesterday and today. This comes after Westjet asked the Canadian Industrial Relations Board to intervene under the Canada Labour Code. Westjet Encore's pilots secured a new 5-year contract with pay increases last week. Westjet Encore runs a network of regional flights under Westjet. And Hall of Fame San Francisco Giants baseball legend Willie Mays has died. The team announced the 93-year-old's death on social media.
Mays was known as a player who had the rare ability to hit home runs while also excelling at running, throwing, and fielding. When he finished his 23-season career, he had 660 home runs. At the time, that was second only to Babe Ruth.
23 seasons. He also won 12 Gold Gloves for the way he played his center field position. Mays was known as the Say Hey Kid for the way he greeted others.
Fans left flowers at Mays' statue in San Francisco, California, and remembered the Hall of Famer as a legend and pioneer of the game.
Very emotional about the loss of Willie today, but what he means to me is a legend, is a pioneer in his day and age.
My dad grew up in New York, and his first memory was seeing a game with Willie, and at the game with his father, my grandfather, and over the years I've gone to lots of games with my dad here and at Candlestick, and we've seen Willie, from afar. And just I've always appreciated him as a human being and as a baseball player.
It was shocking, it was sad. We were just having dinner and my sister goes, "Go on your phone." I was like, "What happened?" She goes, "Willie Mays passed away." And it was just like, she started reading into him and all, and she goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. He's really gone. A legend is gone."
And with the 4th of July approaching, America looks forward to explosive light shows and sparkling activities once again. But a trend of firework-related incidents highlights the dangers of these festive displays.
NTD's BJ Kong talks with a fire chief about how you can stay safe during this year's Independence season.
The 4th of July is a little under a month away, and there are already reports of reckless firework use, including a low-flying helicopter stunt and e-biker pyrotechnic attacks. So I spoke to Sam DiGiovanna, a Southern California fire chief, for some advice on how to have a fun and safe 4th of July celebration. Here's our conversation, starting off by asking, what's the safest way to enjoy some firework light shows?
Leave it to the professionals. There's a lot of professional fireworks shows and there's a lot of drone shows. So look up in your community, contact your city hall or your local fire department and see where the shows are and leave it to the professionals.
Yet, we still made sure to go over how to use and spectate personal use fireworks properly.
Well, what you just said right there, handling. Do not handle them. Do not hold on to them. Put them on the ground, light the fuse, and get away. You should also have a garden hose nearby in the case something happens. But once you light them, get away from them. If you're a spectator, get at least 25 to 30 feet back from the fireworks that are being lit, that are safe and sane. But also remember, there's nothing safe or sane about giving a sparkler to a toddler. There's, those things burn at 1,200 degrees. So there's nothing safe about those.
Fire Chief DiGiovanna also explained what to do if a firework-inflicted injury occurs.
Well, every year, approximately 8,500 people are treated in emergency rooms to fireworks-related injuries. Most of those are to the hands, face, and arms, and some of them include burns and even amputation of fingers. So you have to be really careful because even the safe and sane fireworks can be very dangerous. If it's a burn, you obviously cool the burn down with water. If it's a impairment to extremities, try to keep whatever the extremities are on ice and bandage it. If there's bleeding, keep direct pressure over the wound and call 911 immediately. Do not hesitate.
We then asked what other conditions people should be wary of when using fireworks.
Well, we've had a lot of rain this winter, so with that comes a lot of growth in our foothills and even in vacant lots and open areas. So the fuels are even out there more. It's warming up. They're drying out. By 4th of July, they'll be really dry. The fuel moisture content will be extremely low, and these fuels will be very flammable. So we need to be cognizant of that and keep our distance away from hillside or open lots or dry vegetation. And as far as pyrotechnic events, you have to have the proper permits and a location to do those. So just don't arbitrarily go out and start doing pranks or stunts just for attention. And especially things with what we saw down in the beach communities where kids on e-bikes were lighting fireworks off and shooting them towards people. That's pure stupidity, and it's dangerous, and it's criminal.
To wrap up, DiGiovanna gave some final advice regarding Independence Day safety.
Well, again, leave it to the professionals. Use good common sense. If you do go to a community where there are fireworks that are being sold, just use good common sense. Keep people at a distance. Don't handle the fireworks, and don't allow them in the hands of anyone at all, especially children.
By following Chief DiGiovanna's advice and warnings, you can enjoy your 4th of July celebrations without danger. BJ Kang, NTD News, California.
Coming up, Russia and North Korea signing a vow of mutual aid if either country's attacked. This could mark the strongest connection between the two since the collapse of the Soviet Union.
According to ancient Chinese medicine, purslane is considered a medicinal herb and is used to help lower cholesterol, improve vascular functions, and prevent diabetes. Perilla seeds can nourish the lungs and spleen. It is used to treat asthma and improve pulmonary functions. Puritang green vegetable omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds from Hwangmae Mountain in South Korea. It contains over 90% of omega-3, 6, 7, and 9, the highest concentration possible without chemical additives. The soft gel is made of natural seaweed. It is 100% organic and vegan. Both adults and children can take it with peace of mind. Ancient recipes were passed down from heaven to bring prosperity and longevity. Puritang green vegetable omega-3.
Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024, the Audien Atom 2 series offers superior sound quality and functionality for a fraction of the price. For just $189 a pair, the Atom 2 features 4 different hearing modes for all types of hearing loss. It packs crystal clear sound, a nearly invisible design, and is even rechargeable.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids. They're so comfortable, I forget I'm wearing them. And the sound is amazing.
The Atom Pro 2 is our smallest hearing aid yet, featuring advanced background noise cancellation, and is the world's first hearing aid with built-in UV cleaning that kills 99% of bacteria.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed without seeing a doctor or having a hearing test.
Join over 500,000 happy customers today and get the hearing you deserve.
Call 1-800-433-6359 or go to AudienHearing.com to get your pair of Audien hearing aids starting at just $189.
Does shopping for bladder control products have you feeling like you need someone to be on the lookout for you? Now you have your privacy back. We're HDIS, and we home deliver bladder control products directly to you. We're always on the lookout for you. You get free shipping in plain, unmarked boxes. So your private matters, stay private. We understand how you feel. For over 35 years, we've delivered bladder control products to millions of Americans, just like you. You don't have to worry about incontinence any longer. Call now for your free product sample pack and over $45 in money-saving coupons. At HDIS, we're always in stock. We carry all brands in hundreds of styles and sizes. You'll be sure to get what you need, guaranteed.
For your free sample pack with your free catalog and $45 in money-saving coupons and free product samples, call 800-701-6159. That's 800-701-6159.
Hi, I'm Kelly Wright. We thank you for joining us and watching America's Hope here on NTD News. Bottom line is, I know you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, but let's give you some good news in the midst of the bad news. Watch us nightly, right here on NTD News, for a full dose of America's Hope.
And welcome back. Russia and North Korea today signed a vow of mutual aid if either country is attacked. The pledge is part of a new partnership between the two countries.
Leaders Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un signed the deal during Putin's visit to North Korea. It comes as both nations face escalating standoffs with the West.
The new deal could mark the strongest connection between Russia and North Korea since the collapse of the Soviet Union. Putin suggested the document might pave the way for developing technical military cooperation.
The two also signed agreements on healthcare, medical education, and science. Putin is visiting North Korea for the first time in 24 years. That's as Western allies express growing concerns over an arms arrangement between the two countries.
North Korea provides Moscow with munitions for the conflict in Ukraine. In exchange, they receive economic assistance and technology transfers. This could enhance the threat posed by North Korea's nuclear weapons and missile program.
Here's more on the Russian leader's visit to Pyongyang.
Russian President Vladimir Putin touched down in North Korea late Tuesday and was warmly embraced by leader Kim Jong-un on the tarmac. Putin's welcome didn't end there. State media footage showed his portraits and Russian flags across Pyongyang, with buildings lit with messages welcoming him to the North Korean capital, where he last visited 24 years ago. The Russian president's trip looks set to reshape decades of Russia-North Korea relations. It comes when both countries face international isolation, and analyst Jenny Town, senior fellow at Washington, D.C.'s Stimson Center, says it should raise alarms about how much Moscow's willing to help the reclusive nuclear-armed state.
They have a common problem, and that is sanctions. And Putin has really been leading what he considers and what he deems the war on the West, and trying to create a multipolar system and sort of upend or create an alternative to a U.S.-led world order.
North Korea stands to gain a lot from this relationship. In the short term, more trade with Russia could cement agricultural cooperation or Russia's willingness to receive North Korean workers again, says Town. But militarily as well, it's a boon for Pyongyang.
Russia is the first country, basically since the collapse of the Soviet Union, that's been willing to offer North Korea, military cooperation. And so this does give North Korea opportunities to upgrade their hardware in their conventional side, as well as their military reconnaissance satellites and their space programs, which Russia has said openly that they'd be willing to do.
And Washington is watching. Pentagon spokesperson Major General Pat Ryder on Tuesday voiced U.S. worries over Moscow's overtures to Pyongyang.
The deepening cooperation between Russia and the DPRK is something that should be of concern, especially to anyone that's interested in maintaining peace and stability on the Korean peninsula.
Ryder also noted that North Korea has been selling arms to Russia. The North's missile and nuclear programs are banned by UN Security Council resolutions.
And a bipartisan delegation of lawmakers is in Israel today. They're members of the American-Israel Public Affairs Committee.
Israeli President Isaac Herzog tells them he's grateful for the fact that President Biden has been supporting Israel since the start of the war.
And we also respect tremendously the bipartisan support that crosses all divides and conflicts within American society, and the fact that we are fighting here the battle of the free world against the empire of evil. That's what we're doing, and that's why together we must stay together.
The visit comes amid news of a bulk carrier that sank after an attack by Yemen's Houthis in the Red Sea. The vessel was owned by a Greek company and was carrying coal.
The Houthis attacked it with missiles and a remote-controlled boat, which had explosives on board. After last week's attack, the ship took on water and later sank.
The United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations confirmed the incident this week. They say it's the second ship sunk by the Iran-backed Houthis since November.
The ship was carrying 22 crew members from the Philippines who all evacuated safely.
And joining us for insights on the latest in Israel's war efforts is David Wormser, a Middle East affairs analyst at the Center for Security Policy. He was also a senior advisor to the vice president from 2001 to 2007, and then to the Trump administration's national security advisor, John Bolton. And he served a decade in the Pentagon as a senior intelligence officer. David, good to have you with us. Israel appears to be considering a limited war against Hazebollah in Lebanon, warning that it would win in an all-out war against the terror group. This is after the group released a video showing what it claims is drone footage of an Israeli military base and complex. How seriously should we consider this escalation, and what could be the impact?
Well, I think the threat of an escalation is very serious. The Israelis are facing daily rocket barrages in the hundreds of missiles. So that's first of all a big problem. That's led to an exodus of their population from the north. So essentially the Israelis are losing the northern part of their country. There's anywhere between 70,000 formally evacuated to now you see another 100,000 in a direct circle of fire, which are beginning to leave on their own volition. And Hamas is indicating it will escalate within hours or days to the next circle, which would leave another 500,000 Israelis without a home. So you're seeing already about 100,000 Israeli refugees, potentially 500,000 Israeli refugees within days. This is unsustainable. And Hezbollah shows no sign of backing off. So I think the Israelis are reaching the end of the road in terms of diplomacy and need to start acting in terms of escalation themselves.
Wow, so do you think it's possible they would actually lose territory in the north?
Well, they've sort of culturally lost it. The north of Israel is about half Arab. The Galilee is about half Arab, half Jewish. And the northern part of that whole section has now largely been evacuated by the Israeli civilians, leaving only the military there. So they still have sovereignty over the territory. But where there's no Israeli settlements and there are only Arabs left, you could see eventually a challenge to Israeli sovereignty too. And that's exactly what Hezbollah's strategy is to make the north unlivable for Jews.
Yeah, how does...
So I think there is a barrier here.
Okay, so how does Hezbollah differ from Hamas in tactics and otherwise?
Well, if Hamas is a teenager, Hezbollah is the seasoned educator. Hezbollah is the master terrorist organization. They're much larger. They're about 10 times as large, number one. Number two, they're the ones who trained Hamas to do what Hamas did. They're the ones who have the forces that are the elite of these sorts of terrorist commando forces. And third, they have geography that is both more complex and it helps them, but it also complicates some of their efforts. So on that level, it's going to be easier on one level for the Israelis, even though they're much bigger and more powerful. But on the other, this is a much more dangerous force with hundreds of thousands of missiles pointed at Israel, many of which are accurate. And they can take out airfields, they can take out intersections, which creates strategic problems for Israel. Hamas's missiles were terror weapons. They were shot at cities to terrorize cities. They weren't accurate.
And at the same time, Prime Minister Netanyahu was in a tough position politically before the October 7th attack. But now that his wartime cabinet has been dissolved, could his position and efforts to combat Hamas and Hezbollah be impacted?
Yes, it's an excellent question. On one level, he obviously is a bit weaker. He doesn't have the whole country symbolically with him in the war room, in the war cabinet. And that, of course, causes some issues. On the other hand, there is a consensus in Israel that Hezbollah is a threat that has to be dealt with. So he won't face tremendous opposition to acting tough in the north. That said, actually, in some ways, the departure of the left-leaning parties in his national unity coalition in some ways liberates him to pursue more aggressive policies. And that's probably what he'll do as a result.
Now, Netanyahu's accusing the U.S. of withholding weapons, and he implied that that's slowing Israel's offensive in Rafah. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that only the shipment of heavy bombs has been paused. You've written about what you've called the White House turning on Israel previously. How do you respond to this latest incident?
Well, I think what's happening is that both politically and strategically, the Israeli government is beginning to have, it's reaching the end of the road in terms of what they can give this administration in Washington. They've been very careful to avoid a direct verbal confrontation with Washington, despite the fact that the Washington administration in Washington has been incredibly hostile and politically hostile, trying to bring down the Israeli government, sending Chuck Schumer, the Senate Majority Leader, to demand Bibi, the Prime Minister of Israel, resign. They have now for 2 years been trying to bring down the Israeli government. So the United States has been very partisan, internally interfering in Israel. The Israelis have been very careful to avoid answering that with a partisan response. But the weapons are so critical to their ability to prosecute this war that I think they're taking the gloves off and trying to press this administration to come around and at least give them the weapons that they say that they were going to give them.
All right, great to hear your insights. Thank you so much, David Wormser.
Sure.
Always good to have you on.
Thank you.
Next, the temporary pier used to get aid into the Gaza region will soon be back open. It opened in mid-May to help get much-needed supplies into Gaza, but the pier has been plagued by problems and shutdowns. U.S. officials dismantled the pier on Friday over concerns heavy seas could damage it again.
In terms of the JLOT, we expect it will go operational again this week. And I don't have a specific date to give you right now, but of course we'll keep you posted on that. As far as airdrops go, we do have the capability and do intend to continue conducting airdrops.
Major General Ryder also says the U.S. will try to get as much aid into Gaza before the threat of bad weather returns.
So far, the pier has been used to get more than 7.5 million pounds of aid to the area.
Coming up, Paris remains on its highest security alert ahead of the Olympics. We look at what measures are in place to keep the athletes and the events safe.
And a painting by an Italian Renaissance master is up for sale and expected to reach a record price at the next auction. We'll return with that and more after this short break.
We all know that words have power. They set things in motion.
And make us happy or sad.
But there's one word that stands out because when people say it, lives are changed.
It's not a big word.
It's itsy bitsy.
It's only 3 little letters.
But when you say it,
the life of a kid like me can be changed.
So, what is this special word?
It may surprise you.
It's yes.
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 Yes to becoming a monthly supporter of Shriners Hospitals for Children.
That's right. Your monthly support allows the doctors and nurses at Shriners Hospitals for Children to give the most amazing care anywhere and change the lives of kids like me.
And me.
And me. Because people like you have said yes. Now I can play football.
And I can play catch.
And I can walk.
So what do you say? Will you say yes right now?
It's so easy.
All you have to do is pick up the phone or go to loveshriners.org right now and say yes. When you say yes to giving just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a reminder of all the kids you're helping every day. My life is filled with possibility because of the monthly support of people just like you who called the number on your screen and said yes.
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 Your yes is making a difference in my life and the lives of so many other kids like me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving.
Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, call again or go to loveshriners.org to say yes right away.
Come to Mathis Home for the Monumental Savings Event and get big values on the latest bedrooms. This modern bed from Ashley with a floating panel design is a hot buy at just $290. This Ashley bed is only $399 with an upholstered headboard and a clean contemporary design. And this bed with a blonde finish even has charging ports for extra convenience. It's a great buy at just $699. Don't miss your chance to save at the Monumental Savings Event at Mathis Home.
Meet the scan, a simple procedure whose mission is to detect lung cancer early.
I'm here to save you.
But I feel fine.
That's great, but you may still be at high risk for lung cancer.
Oh man, that's a new fence.
If you smoke, early detection could save your life. Learn more at savedbythescan.org.
The grand opening ceremony of the Paris Olympics will be an open-air event on the Seine, making it a major security concern. Paris police have prepared massive security arrangements for the big day and will get support from other countries' police forces too. Take a look.
France is gearing up security measures ahead of its unprecedented opening ceremony for the Paris Olympics next month. The wildly ambitious July 26 ceremony is proving to be a gargantuan security challenge. French Army's Fennec helicopters will be patrolling the city and protecting airspace on the day.
That will be alert helicopters on the ground and in the air as and when required, depending on the orders given, in order to protect the airspace.
On the day of the eagerly awaited event, around 200 Olympic delegations will join the parade on more than 80 boats. The route is nearly 4 miles long, raising security concerns. President Emmanuel Macron said in mid-April that the ceremony could shift to a stadium if the threat level was too high. But the sports minister said on Monday events will go on for the big day as originally planned, with no alternatives being prepared at this stage.
We are, with the Interior Ministry, very attentive to the evolution of the threat, to its analysis, but for the moment there is no reason to worry about these dimensions. We are on Plan A with a capital A.
Paris police have set a high security zone along the parade route. The first row of buildings along the route are included in the so-called anti-terrorism perimeter. Anyone who wants to enter the zone in the 8 days before the ceremony and on July 26th itself will need to pre-register online and will systematically be subjected to background security checks.
We have a security system which is very robust, both in terms of protecting spectators on the low and high parts of the riverbanks, but also on the entire perimeter of the ceremony. We also have an anti-drone system. We even have specialized intervention forces.
Some 2,000 foreign troops and police will be sent to Paris to bolster security, including officers from the UK and Crown dependencies. The French government also decided that tourists won't be given free access to watch the opening ceremony because of security concerns. Access will be invitation only instead.
This summer, get ready for a massive explosion in space. NASA scientists have announced an upcoming NOVA event. It will be so bright that we should be able to see the explosion of light with the naked eye. According to NASA, there's a remnant of a dead star about the size of the Earth, about 3,000 light years away, and it's expected to explode sometime this summer. NASA continues to track it, but the exact date when the event will happen is unknown. NASA's NOVA expert has called this explosion a once-in-a-lifetime event. It should be visible for about a week. And after transforming the grassy plains of its South Island into a key aerospace facility, New Zealand is on a mission to become a global hub for advanced aircraft and space exploration. Let's take a look at that.
Welcome to Tawhaki National Aerospace Centre. Once a spot for cattle to graze, this stretch of land on the east coast of New Zealand's South Island is now a key aerospace facility. It's part of the Pacific Nation's plan to become a global hub for advanced aircraft and space exploration. But before that, New Zealand's got some catching up to do. Around the world, the space and aerospace industries are growing, and fast. The U.S. Space Foundation says there were 50% more commercial space launches in 2023 than the year before. Analysts say New Zealand's location might give it a leg up as it tries to get a larger share of the $600 billion global market. At Tawhaki, there is little air traffic over the spit. Launches over water minimize the risk of falling debris, and a latitude deep in the southern hemisphere makes it easier to place satellites in specific orbits. 4 companies, including Boeing subsidiary Wisk Aero, have publicized using the facility to test new technology. Facility officials say that others are there too, but that they can't discuss them for privacy reasons. The country hosted 7 rocket launches last year, making it the 4th most globally. All were by the US-listed and New Zealand-founded Rocket Lab, which has launched 44 rockets in New Zealand since 2017. The success of the roughly $2 billion company has helped develop a space technology sector here. But New Zealand is still a small player, even relative to its neighbours.
There's a wide range of space and advanced aviation projects that are really starting to kick along and creating a lot of jobs and a lot of value for New Zealand.
Mark Rocket is the president of Aerospace New Zealand.
But yeah, we've got a long way to go, and we're certainly a long way behind many other countries in the investment and the infrastructure that we need to really grow the industry and support the industry.
In 2019, the latest data available, New Zealand's space industry was worth roughly $1 billion. Comparatively, Australia's space sector is worth around $3 billion annually, while Japan is at $27 billion. New Zealand's government wants to grow its aerospace industry to $6.2 billion by 2030. To do that, it said that it wants to reduce the regulatory burden for launches, testing, and employment in the space sector, something Rocket says is desperately needed.
We do have a lot of delays in the system, so we need more support in those entities to make sure that we can bring in international projects and give them a short wait time so that they can get those projects started.
A painting by Renaissance master Titian is expected to reach a record sale price for the artist. It could go for over $30 million at auction next month. The piece has had a colorful history, which includes being stolen and recovered twice. The 2-foot wide painting is titled The Rest on the Flight into Egypt. It depicts Jesus as a baby along with Mary and Joseph. It dates back to the 16th century.
The painting went missing for 7 years after being stolen in 1995. A detective tracked it down at a London bus stop after a ransom of $100,000 was paid.
The work of art will go up for auction at Christie's in London on July 2nd.
Next, getting enough protein has both short-term and long-term benefits for your health. So how do you incorporate protein into your meals? Here's Gina Marie with Strong Mind and Body.
Protein is an essential part of a healthy diet. The problem is many older adults are not getting enough of it. A study was published in the Journal of Nutrition, Health and Aging. It found that up to 46% of older adults get less than the daily recommended amount. Long-term studies show that people who eat more protein tend to maintain bone mass better as they age. They also have a much lower risk of osteoporosis and bone fractures. Higher protein meals increase satiety more than those that are higher in carbs and fats. This can assist weight loss goals by decreasing your appetite. According to a study in the journal Obesity, eating more protein may help to stave off cravings and those late-night munchies. Overweight men who increased their protein intake to 25% of their calories had fewer cravings. They were also half as likely to snack late at night when compared to those consuming lower levels of protein. Many experts recommend 1.2 grams of protein per 1 kilogram of body weight at a bare minimum. It's important to have a good quality protein source at every meal. This is particularly so for breakfast and also snacks. Think protein plus produce when it comes to snacks. Combination examples can include hummus and cucumber slices or nut butter plus bananas in a smoothie. A high quality protein powder is also another option. It can simply be mixed with water or milk of choice and a low sugar fruit such as berries. You can also prep veggie egg muffins or freezer frittata burritos in advance. These are easy to heat and take on the go. You could also include Greek yogurt or plant-based alternatives to enhance a cereal and fruit breakfast. Eggs are a great source of protein and a nutritionist favorite. Meat sticks and jerky provide around 10 to 12 grams of protein and have very few, if any, carbohydrates. It's best to find ones made with grass-fed meat and few added ingredients. There's also a lot of meal inspo on social media to inspire you. You'll find recipes and tips on how to add more protein to meals and simplify your meal prep.
And for round-the-clock original news coverage, visit us at ntd.com or download our NTD app.
And stay with us, we'll bring you more news in the next 2 hours.
Hi, I'm Tim Che, the director and writer of The Firing Squad. You can participate in our Million Souls campaign, inviting everyone you know to Jesus. Listen, we all face some kind of firing squad in our lives, and yet faith in the Lord, that challenge can lead us to true peace in this insane world. We can't do it without you. We're competing with big Hollywood movies, so we're relying on your voice to spread the word. Thank you again for supporting this important movie.
There's a whirlwind of emotion and activity going on in this painting. And there's chaos all around and threat from below. The walls surrounding her, and they're anything but unmoved. They're moving all the time, and we sense that. But this little girl remains unmoved.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
Welcome to NTD News Today.
Here are today's top stories.
One person killed and over 1,000 structures burned. An entire town in New Mexico is evacuating from fast-spreading wildfires. Local residents tell their stories.
Shipping groups are sounding the alarm over Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. They say urgent action is needed to better protect ships. Don Ma will join us with more.
How much aid has the U.S. sent to Ukraine? And what's different about the newest deal from G7 leaders? Kevin Hogan will break it down at the Data Hub.
Nuclear energy could soon get a boost. More on a bipartisan Senate bill to speed up power plant construction.
Mexican drug cartel associates are indicted by the Justice Department for alleged ties to Chinese underground banking. We'll take a look at what's going on there.
This is NTD News Today, live from our NTD Global Headquarters. Here are Stephania Cox and Chris Beers.
A state of emergency in New Mexico as wildfires spread quickly.
One person has been killed and a whole town is now evacuated.
The South Fork Fire and the Salt Fire have burned a combined area of more than 20,000 acres in central New Mexico.
Man, that footage is stunning. The entire town of Ruidoso, with a population of 7,000, is under mandatory evacuation.
We've seen other fires, but nothing like this. Not even close. That Upper Canyon area is gone. There's nothing left. It's gone. It's burnt to the ground. And there's a lot of homes back there.
We knew it was urgent because usually they say ready, set, go. And ready, you could be there for a day or two. Set is a couple hours usually. Go means now. And the call was for our area. We never got ready, set. It was go. And within an hour, the police department, the fire department, they're blocking, barricading the roads to our area and telling everybody to leave.
Authorities say the South Fork Fire started Monday and spread over nearly 15,000 acres in just over a day. The two wildfires are so far 0% contained.
The fires have destroyed over 1,400 structures. The governor of New Mexico declared a state of emergency for the local county and neighboring tribal lands. She also deployed National Guard troops to help.
Weather forecasters expect cooler weather and the chance of rain to bring some relief this week.
President Biden raked in over $8 million at a fundraiser in Virginia. He was joined by former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe hosted the Tuesday event at his home in Virginia. Recent polls show Biden and Trump virtually tied in the state.
Biden and the Clintons attempted to contrast the current administration and former President Trump.
The fundraiser followed a star-studded cash haul in California last weekend when the president appeared with former President Obama.
Hollywood stars George Clooney, Julia Roberts, and Barbra Streisand attended the event that raised more than $30 million. And the Senate passes a bill to speed up and reduce the costs of nuclear plant construction. The Bipartisan Advanced Act is seen as a major win for the nuclear industry.
It passed yesterday with an 88-2 vote. Senators Ed Markey and Bernie Sanders opposed the bill over safety concerns.
The measure was bundled with a bill renewing support for the U.S. Fire Administration and Firefighters Grant. Both measures now head to the president for approval.
Senators Tom Carper, Shelley Moore Capito, and Sheldon Whitehouse praised the bill's passage. They highlighted its potential to boost job creation and energy security. Carper emphasized nuclear energy's role in providing carbon-free electricity and future job opportunities.
Critics, including Edwin Lyman from the Union of Concerned Scientists, raised concerns about weakened safety oversight. And the House Ethics Committee announces it's investigating new misconduct claims against Congressman Matt Gaetz, including whether he sought to obstruct government probes of his conduct. This comes a day after Gaetz criticized the committee over what he called a political attack. The committee, defending its process, said it's interviewed dozens of witnesses, reviewed thousands of documents, and issued 25 subpoenas. The investigation into Gaetz, which started in April 2021, includes allegations of sexual misconduct, drug use, and improper gifts. Gaetz denies all allegations against him, suggesting the probe is retribution for his role in ousting former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Next, the White House is canceling a high-level meeting with Israel on Iran. It was originally set for tomorrow. That's according to an Axios report by a CNN contributor.
The cancellation, or supposed cancellation, comes after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a video accusing the U.S. of withholding military aid from Israel.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says only one shipment of heavy bombs is on hold.
The cancellation also comes as Israel warned Hazebollah of the prospect of all-out war. Earlier, the terrorist group had published a 9-minute video showing Israeli military and civilian locations, according to them.
And in the Red Sea, a coal carrier owned by Greece has sunk after being attacked by missiles from the Houthis last week. One crew member is feared dead. This is believed to be the second ship sunk by the terrorist group based in Yemen.
And coming up, the U.S. is now on track to be even more in debt than expected. Find out what's driving a massive $400 billion increase and what it means for the future.
And Boeing's Starliner capsule and its crew are expected to leave the ISS and return to Earth on this Saturday. More on this mission just after the break.
When I drink it, the first thing was I feel the warmth in my tummy. It's kind of like gently radiating out, a kind of a very comforting warmth. And it was really good, actually. I felt much better. I did feel, actually, an effect. And I find that it is actually better when I take it regularly.
It's actually steamed and dried 9 times. And so it's really, the essence is really extracted.
Then the second time I tried it really like on an empty stomach and just 2 teaspoons of it and over a few times. And wow, that was a big difference because suddenly I could feel, wow, I was very good energized. I didn't have to eat. I could work outside in the garden for a couple of hours and I still felt very well. And I was impressed by that. So I think it's a good product.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day, just by brushing your teeth.
I never thought that whitening my teeth could be so easy. I just put the gel on the brush, the toothpaste on it, brush, and I can see my white teeth.
Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth. Without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist. And it was about time that a product was developed that you would be able to do that with just brushing.
And now Smile Actives is even better with new Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power, clinically shown to whiten teeth faster, up to 8 shades. 100% of users saw whiter teeth. On food stains, coffee and wine stains, even on veneers, crowns, and dentures.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Why spend hundreds of dollars for whitening treatments at the dentist when now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth? Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one get one absolutely free for just $24.95. That's 2 for 1 and save 58%. We'll even include free shipping. Get your teeth whiter guaranteed or return it within 60 days for your money back.
I smile every day now.
the difference is literally night and day.
So now I'm always smiling, always choosing, because now my teeth are much whiter.
This offer is not available in stores, so call or click now before the special buy one get one free offer goes away.
Hi, I'm Kelly Wright. We thank you for joining us and watching America's Hope here on NTD News. Bottom line is, I know you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, but let's give you some good news in the midst of the bad news. Watch us nightly, right here on NTD News, for a full dose of America's Hope.
Welcome back. The Congressional Budget Office says this year's federal budget deficit will be $400 billion, and if we can get that on, $400 billion higher than originally estimated, a 27% increase. The rise is driven by higher costs for Ukraine and Israel aid, increased student loan forgiveness, higher Medicaid spending, and FDIC insurance expenses from recent banking crises. The report, released Tuesday, projects the national debt will climb from 99% of GDP in 2024 to a record 122% by 2034 and continue rising. This challenges President Biden's claims of deficit reduction, as borrowing increased in 2023 and is expected to rise again this year. Former Chinese Communist Party officials now work for a popular Chinese shopping app. That's Temu's parent company, PDD Holdings, a Chinese e-commerce giant. NTD's Flora Hua has more.
A recent New York Post report found a bevy of former Chinese officials are taking senior positions at PDD. Posts range from the company's vice president to public relations executives. Chinese media revealed that between their salaries and company stock revenue, the new hires are taking home millions of dollars every year, with some positions even topping tens of millions of dollars. Data from 2023 shows that Temu has over 80 million active users in the U.S. The app calls the U.S. its largest market. But the Temu parents' close ties to the Chinese regime are causing concern. They've left many wondering, can Beijing access data on the app's U.S. users? Based on Chinese law, all companies in the country must hand over data whenever Chinese authorities ask for it. Temu has seen remarkable growth in the U.S. market since its U.S. launch 2 years ago. Its rapid expansion has even become a threat to American online shopping giants like Amazon.
And joining us now is NTD's Business Matters host, Don Ma, to give us the latest updates from the tech and business world.
Don, good to see you.
Good to see you, Chris, Steph.
What do you have for us today?
So a couple of things I wanted to talk about. And first, let me start off with this. So urgent action must be taken in the Red Sea, and this is to stop attacks on merchant ships by Yemen's Houthis. All this is according to leading industry groups on Wednesday today. So this is coming after the sinking of a second ship. So the world's top shipping association said in a joint statement that it is deplorable that innocent seafarers are being attacked while simply performing their jobs. These are vital jobs which keep the world warm, fed and clothed. So adding that it is calling on states with influence to the region to safeguard innocent seafarers. Now, the Greek-owned Tudor coal carrier attacked by Yemen's Houthi militants in the Red Sea last week has sunk, and salvagers have confirmed this today. There have been 10 Houthi strikes so far in June compared with 5 in May. And Monroe Anderson, head of operations at Marine War Risk and Insurance Specialist Vessel Protect, part of the Penn underwriting, this is attributed to him in part. So I mean, serious situation there.
Yeah, I mean, any ships that pass through the Red Sea must be manned by some very brave sailors, considering all the attacks.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know, the alternate routes are just too far out, really, to be practical.
Yeah, let's hope something is done here.
Yeah. So you also have some news for us about NVIDIA, some pretty big news.
Yeah, so changing gears here, talking about tech, NVIDIA actually became the world's most valuable company yesterday, and doing so dethroning tech heavyweight Microsoft. as its high-end processors, NVIDIA's that is, play a central role in the scramble to dominate artificial intelligence technology. So shares of the chipmaker climbed 3.5%, and that has lifted its market capitalization to $3.3 trillion, around there. So NVIDIA's stunning surge in market value over the past year was driven by a Wall Street frenzy over artificial intelligence technology. So the company has also become by far the most traded company on Wall Street. So pretty impressive, if you ask me.
Yeah, you know, just a few days ago, NVIDIA took over, surpassed Apple to become the second largest, and now it's the first. So, but when that happened, I looked it up and I was like, what is going on here? What I found is that NVIDIA is basically positioned itself at the intersection of AI and robotics. And they're basically saying that robots are coming, and it seems like they are going to be one of the major innovators in that sector.
Yeah, you know what would be really impressive? If they put that AI into the robots. Think of the world that we'd be living in with that.
Impressive is one word.
Right? Oh my goodness. Now, Amazon Pharmacy is expanding its $5 monthly subscription to Medicare patients. Tell us a bit more about that.
Right, so this is also worth mentioning, I think, because Medicare patients can now actually take advantage of Amazon Pharmacy. And what that means is that the e-commerce giant is expanding eligibility for its monthly subscription service to those enrolled in the government-backed insurance plan. So for just $5 a month, Prime members can access dozens of generic medications, have 24/7 access to a pharmacist, and get free delivery on top of that. Now, based on government data, Medicare spending is projected to have grown to more than $1 trillion last year. Amazon says that RX Pass could help reduce Medicare spending by nearly $2 billion in a year, and as well as lowering costs for older Americans. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much for these updates, Don.
Thank you.
Next, Boeing's Starliner capsule and its 2 NASA crew members are set to return to Earth this Saturday. The new capsule arrived at the International Space Station nearly 2 weeks ago on its first flight with astronauts. Here's a look at what it's been through so far.
A last-minute thruster trouble almost derailed Starliner docking at the ISS in early June. The 260-mile-high link-up ended an eventful day for Boeing's astronaut flight debut. The Starliner capsule already had one small helium leak before launch. Boeing and NASA managers were confident despite the problem. Before liftoff, engineers devised a plan to work around any additional leaks in the system. But just hours into the flight, 2 more leaks cropped up, and another was just discovered after docking.
We could see at the tank level when the system is opened, essentially you're bleeding helium from the tank all through the flight, and we could see that leak rate was a little higher than we had thought pre-flight.
Later, 5 of the capsule's 28 thrusters went down. The astronauts managed to restart 4 of them, providing enough safety margin to proceed. The troubles meant that Starliner passed up the first docking opportunity and circled the world for an extra hour alongside the station before moving in.
Okay, you're traveling down PMA 2, which is where the docking adapters are on the very front of Space Station, and now you're entering into Starliner. So welcome to Starliner for the very first time ever.
The past 24 hours have been a testament to what it's about in human spaceflight, and really all the hard work that they've poured into this spacecraft over many years to get us to this point.
Boeing and NASA are now planning for Starliner and its crew to return to Earth on Saturday. Flight controllers will guide it to touchdown in a remote desert in the western part of the U.S. Boeing hopes to earn a place alongside SpaceX, regularly transporting NASA astronauts.
The United States unveiled a $1.5 billion aid package for Ukraine at the Swiss Peace Summit. But that's just a very small fraction of what President Biden and other G7 leaders offered up to Ukraine and Italy. Here to talk about how that G7 deal differs from others and data on how many U.S. dollars have gone to Ukraine is Kevin Hogan at the News Hub. Kevin, before we get into how much Ukraine aid has come from American taxpayers, Tell us how that G7 deal is different from what we've seen in the past in terms of Ukraine aid, especially from the United States.
Yes, hi Chris. Recently, leaders of the G7 nations, part of the world, some of the world's wealthiest democracies, agreed to a $50 billion loan to Ukraine. Is that coming out of U.S. national treasure? Not exactly. The loan is guaranteed by the U.S. federal government. However, it is being financed by the interest that is generated on Russian assets, Russian central bank assets that were frozen in Europe. It's about $300 billion of those. Those are mostly being held in Belgium. Of course, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was very grateful upon hearing the news that this loan was agreed to. However, he wanted all $300 billion or so of those Russian assets to be given to his country so that he can fend off the Russian invasion. On the other hand, Russian President Vladimir Putin calls this loan theft. And at the same time, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says that Russia has no claim on the interest that is being generated from those frozen assets. Therefore, the loan is completely legal in her view.
And Kevin, how much Ukraine aid has come directly from U.S. taxpayers?
It's a really important question here, Chris, because we're talking about how much money is coming out of your pocket and then is going to Ukraine. Top line number, $175 billion has been spent from U.S. taxpayer money on the war effort in Ukraine, and that is according to the Congressional Budget Office data compiled by the Council on Foreign Relations. Right here, after the start of the Russian invasion, we have seen about a $13.6 billion aid package to Ukraine coming off right off the bat, and then here you have a $40 billion aid package following very close afterwards, and then you have a smaller package, and then a $47 billion package within that first year of the war, and then more recently a $60 billion package, after roughly $60 billion, after a slight pause that we'll see in a minute. We're seeing that this incremental aid to Ukraine has been growing over time. You can see that each of these packages are increasing. Right here, there was a small gap in the funding to Ukraine, and that was due to Congress deciding whether they wanted to send money to Ukraine and how they would divvy up support to Israel, Ukraine, and also to the efforts in Taiwan as well. We're going to talk about some of the sentiment of the Americans as to how they view what this money is doing in Ukraine. More Americans now say too much aid is going to Ukraine. So a little touch on the sentiment. To give you an illustration of this, this is the number you need to look at right here. This 31% of Americans think that too much aid is going to Ukraine. That was recently published in the Pew Research Center poll at the beginning of April. And that is compared to just 7% of Americans who thought too much was going to Ukraine at the start of the war. So this number has ballooned to 26% in 2023 and now 31%. Almost a third of Americans think that too much aid is going to Ukraine. The amount of the Americans that think that about right amount is going to Ukraine is held steady at about a third or a quarter, whereas the number of Americans who say that not enough Ukraine aid is being sent started at 42% after the invasion, and that number has dwindled down to 20% in 2023, then down to 18% now here in April of this year. Part of the reason is that some Americans are saying that there are problems at home on U.S. soil that need to be dealt with before money can be sent to foreign wars. And then also a Gallup poll shows that most of Americans feel that the war in Ukraine is a stalemate right now. And prior to this, more thought that Ukraine was winning. However, that has shifted, and them saying that now Russia is winning the war at this stage here. So I'm going to toss this back to you, Chris.
All right, Kevin Hogan, thank you very much for explaining that.
You got it.
Coming up, no more texting during class. Los Angeles schools will soon ban cell phones while school is in season.
And a bipartisan group of senators introduced a bill to address deepfake revenge porn. A victim shares her story. That and more when we return with NTD News.
I go by Jackie. I'm 44 years old. I had 3 kids at the time and single mother. I was working 60 hours a week, still couldn't pay the bills. I'd skip meals so that they could eat. It's been hard because one thing falls into place, 10 things fall out of place. You know, I just can't do this alone and make it work.
1 in 5 kids face hunger in America, and food costs are rising. But everyone needs nourishing food to thrive, and they can when we work together so our neighbors can feed their families. Call or go online right now to join Feeding America with your gift of just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Together, thanks to a nationwide network of food banks, dedicated volunteers, and the monthly support of people like you, we can fill plates with nutritious food for kids facing hunger this summer.
One day my mother came over to my house and said, "There's a meeting at the pantry." I said, "Okay," and I went. There were some ladies in there. They were from the food bank. They asked several questions. Some of those were about me and my story, but it helped me to open up a little bit.
We're getting closer to the day when no one in America faces hunger, but we can't do it without you. Call or go online now. Visit helpfeedingamerica.org and give $19 a month, just 63 cents a day. 98% of donations go directly to help millions of children facing hunger from coast to coast and in your own community. And when you give by credit card, we'll send you this exclusive canvas grocery bag to show you are a part of a movement of supporters working together to help end hunger.
I have people that I can trust. I have hope.
Please call now or make your monthly donation at helpfeedingamerica.org. Working together, we can end hunger in America.
What do you do when your tire goes flat and there's no air anywhere? You reach for Bullseye Pro, the smarter, faster, hands-free way to fill it up with air. Bullseye Pro is equipped with a rechargeable lithium-ion power plant. So fast and so convenient. It's like the power of an air compressor in the palm of your hand. Look, you can inflate all 4 tires on a single charge. It has a built-in smart pressure digital sensor that gauges and automatically stops when the set tire pressure is reached. Easily inflate pool toys, exercise balls, and more. Call or go online now and get the complete Bullseye Pro inflation system for the factory direct price of just $79.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free, and we'll give you a 50% discount on a second one. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-984-7221. That's 1-800-984-7221, or go to getbullseyepro.com.
The U.S. Surgeon General recently urged Congress to require warning labels on social media platforms like those found on cigarette packs. A mother of 3 weighs in, and a psychiatrist sees it as a positive move and a good first step to protect children. Let's watch.
Earlier this week, Dr. Vivek Murthy, the U.S. Surgeon General, asked Congress to place warning labels on social media. Parents and experts are weighing in with their opinions.
I don't know that it would necessarily deter that many children from using social media. Sometimes they even are enticed by the thought of something being not for them. But I think it will give legitimacy to parents who want to point to a reason when kids say, "Why can't I do it?" Now we can say, well, it's harmful for you, and here's why.
The warnings could also offer children a legitimate reason to log off, thus avoiding peer pressure to stay connected.
It might even provide kids an excuse to give their friends if there's a warning saying this is harmful. If a child really needs to go to bed and wants to log off for the night but feels like they can't, they could say, "Hey, my parents make me log off at X o'clock because they've seen that it's harmful for kids to be on social media."
This psychiatrist also sees the potential use of warning labels as a positive move.
I think the Surgeon General's recommendation that we put a warning on social media is a good first step.
However, Dr. Marvin says much more is needed to affect real and lasting change.
We need a community, we need a cultural, we need a policy decision ultimately, or solution ultimately, because it's going to take a village to make this change.
The Surgeon General said in a CNN interview the issue is difficult for parents since they weren't raised using social media. He said he won't allow his young children to have social media access until middle school or later. For parents who already have children on social media, Murthy recommends creating a tech-free zone around a child's meal times and their sleep time.
Students in Los Angeles Unified School District will have to revert to passing handwritten notes in class. Board members there voted yesterday in favor of banning cell phones while school is in session. The ban is scheduled to start in January, and it will affect more than 500,000 students from kindergarten through 12th grade. Those in support of this move say cell phones can negatively impact in-person communication, creative thinking, and mental health. Critics of the ban say students should have access to their phones, especially in case of an emergency. Board officials have a few months to update the cell phone policy, which has remained the same since 2011. It will then be presented to the public.
And a bipartisan group of senators has introduced the Take It Down Act to address deepfake revenge porn. Lawmakers say the bill aims to deter perpetrators from posting AI-generated explicit images online.
Senator Ted Cruz introduced the legislation, which Senator Amy Klobuchar and a number of other senators are co-sponsoring. The bill would help defend victims from non-consensual intimate image abuse, also known as revenge porn.
The legislation would criminalize the publication of such images, including AI-generated content.
The law would also require social media and similar websites to remove such content upon notification from victims.
High school student Aliston Berry is a victim of deepfake revenge porn. She described the impact it had on her life.
As a 14-year-old who had just entered high school, this experience threw off my freshman year and created a fearful environment for me and my friends. I've always looked forward to going to high school as it is such a huge part of life. But being involved in volleyball and hanging with friends, I was able to enjoy school. But once these photos were released, I dreaded school and was anxious to even step foot on campus.
Next, the 911 emergency call system in Massachusetts went down for about an hour yesterday under a sweltering heat wave. The outage left residents briefly unable to call for police, fire, or ambulance assistance. Temperatures soared into the 90s as officials issued heat advisories. State authorities said the cause of the disruption was under investigation. During the outage, Boston Mayor Michelle Wu told residents that they should use direct local police or fire numbers in case of an emergency. The state's 911 system has been restored. Wu has declared a heat emergency in Boston through Thursday. The mayor also announced that more than a dozen cooling centers would open for people to take shelter from the heat wave.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul says she's considering a ban on face masks in the New York City subway system. Exceptions would include masks worn for personal, health, or cultural reasons. NTD's Daniel Monahan has the reactions of those in the Big Apple.
Governor Hochul spoke last week about an incident where she says people were scaring subway riders and chanting things about Hitler and wiping out Jews.
My team is working on a solution, but on a subway, people should not be able to hide behind a mask to commit crimes.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams says he strongly supports the decision of stopping masks in the subway system and in other places where it's not health-related.
And covering your face while you do terrible things is not new. There were these guys that used to ride around with hoods in the Deep South. So cowards cover their faces.
Subway riders reacted to the potential mask ban.
I wear a mask for public health reasons, and also I just like for people not to see me half the time.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, that that somebody could use a mask to commit a crime.
I don't think it will matter one way or the other. I think it's a bad idea. What are you going to stop everyone that has a mask on? Are you religious, or you have health problems? Could I see your health card?
I see where she's coming from with this, and it makes sense looking out for the safety of that. I didn't think about that perspective of people can use that and abuse that type of power.
New York previously banned public mask wearing by groups of 3 people or more under a law dating back to the 19th century. That's when upstate tenant farmers dressed up as Native Americans to rise up violently against landlords. Until somewhat recently, the NYPD would arrest groups of protesters wearing masks. The mask ban was lifted when the COVID-19 pandemic struck, and riders had to wear masks on public transit. That mask mandate ended 2 years ago, but many people still routinely wear masks on the subway. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
A Self-Reliance summit is underway in Ohio's Amish country, and Epoch Times reporter Jeff Louderback is there checking it out. He joins us live to discuss. Welcome, Jeff. Tell us what the Self-Reliance Summit is all about here.
Well, it's a hot day here, and it's Ohio's Amish country. This is the Food Independence Summit. I believe it's the 3rd version, and it's one of the largest homesteading and sustainable living conferences in the country. Last year, there was talk about how there's a homesteading tsunami. About, more and more people are showing an interest in whether it's moving to the country, like if you live in New York City, on your porch or your back patio, having growing tomatoes. So the whole purpose is to help people at all levels develop their skills, whether you're a beginner, whether you're interested, an intermediate, or you're an expert looking at learning new skills. And it's bringing the best of the best here, expert-wise, to instruct people, and it's a like-minded community.
So yeah, Jeff, you're on the ground there. Is there anything that stands out to you as most notable there?
Well, earlier Joel Salatin gave a speech, and he's known as one of the grandfathers or fathers of organic farming. He travels all around the world. He's hired to help people develop their farms. He's into regenerative farming, organic farming, and he gives presentations at events like this on people, helping people become homesteaders. And when he said it doesn't have to be, a 20-acre property. It could be like 1 acre, 2 acres. Myself, I have an interest in, and it's a newfound interest, only a couple years. I moved out in the country about 6 to 8 months ago, and I just have about 1/4 of an acre, and I'm learning how to grow through raised beds, and I'm growing microgreens. And so this is an event I'm covering for the Epic Times, and it's a personal interest because I'm the target market here because I really don't know what I'm doing, and I know a little bit more once I leave here.
Wow, it sounds like a 2-for-1 special for you there, Jeff. What are attendees telling you about what drew them to the event this year?
Well, people from all different walks of life, all backgrounds, all experience levels, because some people have large farms, some people have small farms, hobby farms, some people have homesteads where they have goats and chickens and they have large gardens. Other people are just learning, maybe they're just growing tomatoes, or they're learning new skills. And what I find interesting is even people who are experts at the top of their topic level, they like coming here, the top of their topic, they like coming here and learning from other experts, developing their own skills, because you can never really know. Right now, we don't know what's in our food. There's all sorts of restrictions, and so people are preparing to become more. It's all about self-sustainability and learning at different levels how to live that lifestyle.
Can you say a bit more about that, Jeff? What's behind this trend here?
Well, I think personally, you go back to COVID, and there was supply chain shortages, and we saw where you can't necessarily go to the grocery store all the time and get whatever you need. So it's a wise way of life. We're in 2024. In a way, I look at it like trying to live as much as you can like it's 1924, because back then, obviously, that was a way of life. There wasn't such a thing as homesteading or sustainable living, because that's how people lived. And then, I interject my personal story. I grew up in the suburbs, and I didn't learn any of those skills. And I'm in my 50s, and I'm just now taking an interest in it and learning it as far as growing and whether it be gardens, raised beds. I don't have an interest because I don't have the time for chickens, but animals like chickens and goats, people at all levels are doing it. And it's fascinating, the people you meet here, because it's people, everyone's passionate, and it's camaraderie, a sense of community is one of the highlights here.
Now, obviously, this event is taking place in the countryside. We see the fields behind you, the trees. There's no big buildings, but are there people involved in this movement in the cities at all?
Yes, and a lot of the speakers will talk about how you don't have to have a homestead or a farm. You don't have to live in the country. You could live in New York City, Washington, D.C., anywhere, and you can grow tomato plants, or you could grow microgreens inside your house. it's all about making the most of what you have. I know a lot of inner cities now, a lot of large metropolitan areas have garden plots. A lot of people have, I'm covering RFK Jr.'s presidential campaign for Epic Times, so I travel all around the country. I can't remember where I was. I was in an urban area, and I looked down from my hotel room and saw some other rooftops have garden plots there. So that's an example. It's you don't have to. This is Ohio's Amish country, which is the second largest contingent of Amish in the country, next to Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So it's beautiful out here. It's rolling hills, and this is their way of life. But you don't have to go out and move to the country and get 20 acres and have chickens and goats. And like Joel Salatin talks about, how start small and start with something that won't run away. So personally, I heeded that advice because microgreens and tomato plants aren't going to run away from me.
Start small and start with something that won't run away. Love it. All right, Jeff Louderback, reporter with the Epic Times. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And coming up, what would the future look like in the South China Sea if the Chinese Communist Party is left unchecked? An expert in global security and military conflict joins us to discuss the CCP's new maritime law in the region.
And Chinese state-run media reporting that Chinese automakers want tariffs hiked on European gas-powered cars. We'll return with that and more after this short break.
Do you know that Cars for Compassion is the best way to donate your car? Through this non-profit program, you can not only help us keep bringing the world independent and daringly truthful journalism, but also significantly impact the life of somebody who needs a vehicle. The Epoch Times fights misinformation and big tech censorship by being independent and unbound to advertisers. Every single contribution to Cars for Compassion is a powerful endorsement of our unwavering mission. All you have to do is go to carsforcompassion.org and let us know about your car, and we'll schedule a pickup time and email you a tax-deductible receipt. To do this, just click the link below, support truth, compassion, and hope. Donate your car right now at www.carsforcompassion.org.
Fostering a pet for a friend or neighbor can keep families together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
23 سال
16 سال
عمري ما هفت
اما 11 کردیم برانبر خشک و دایکانی ازدی اما کاری که دور لهمو چمک دموکراسی و موافقانی مرو و انسانیت او بارو خی که است های به تایبت ایران خوشتوریا بشه که دگرت و با حالانه که اداره اوباما کرد
بریم بو او هفت روز من بو و داعش ذکر
تامبون كرا قوتينيز قريا بما متشكر بهر فيدان نبو باوان رحم نبو
قدامنا سؤالان من خادران نزر باوان نرستم بس وانا قو بس ناش بجوش باش.
They would literally be auctioned in front of soldiers, and then the soldiers begin to bid.
زارود وان همو جيبري تي حملي زارود الدمع واسسي وان همو جيبري
وحشگریه کی توا عیاره ظلمی که یک جار زور گوره لما افرطانه کرا و تعدایی که زور زوریان لیده که همانه روزانه دست فروشیده
اليوم التوزيع كل الرصيد
Imagine being a child, having a child mentality, and these evil people come and wheel you away from the only safety you've ever known.
Welcome back. The State Department has approved a multi-million-dollar arms sale to Taiwan. The sale was approved for drones and missiles worth about $360 million combined.
The arms sale includes anti-armor loitering munitions and other related equipment. Loitering munitions are small guided missiles that can fly around a target until they're directed to attack.
Taiwan's presidential office thanked the U.S. for its security commitments. It's the Biden administration's 15th weapons sale to Taiwan since 2021. The U.S. is bound by law to provide Taiwan with means to defend itself, despite the lack of formal diplomatic ties with Taiwan.
And Chinese automakers are reportedly urging Beijing to hike tariffs on imported European gasoline-powered cars. The move is in retaliation for the European Union's proposed tariffs on exports of Chinese-made EVs. The news was reported by the Chinese state-run Global Times newspaper. It says European and Chinese car makers were both in attendance at a closed-door meeting organized by China's Ministry of Commerce. Industry insiders say both Europe and China have reasons for wanting to strike a deal in the months ahead to de-escalate tensions and avoid billions of dollars in new costs for Chinese EV makers. The European Commission said it was looking into the situation to find solutions. EU trade policy is turning increasingly protective amid concerns that China's development model could see the bloc flooded with cheap goods, including electric vehicles. Chinese firms are looking to boost sales overseas due to weak demand at home.
An already strained situation in the South China Sea just got even more tense. The Chinese regime has a new maritime law allowing for the detainment of trespassers in what it claims as its waters. The provision went into effect on Saturday. Foreign nationals crossing certain maritime demarcations could end up in jail for up to 60 days without a trial. This could spell trouble as the Chinese Communist Party claims almost the entire South China Sea. That's including territory also claimed by the Philippines, Brunei, Malaysia, and Vietnam. Also something to note, an international court ruled that China's claims is invalid in 2016. Chinese vessels have clashed with Philippine vessels in recent years, ramming ships and spraying others with water cannons. To look at the implications of the new law for the Philippines, China, and beyond, we speak with Gregory Copley, president of the International Strategic Studies Association. Gregory Copley, good to have you back on the show, as always. What does this new law mean for Filipino military and civilian marine activity in these disputed waters?
Well, although it's an illegal law, if you like, when applied to the international community, because clearly the PRC does not have legal domination in the South China Sea, it nonetheless raises the stakes. It creates an escalation which will lead to a confrontation.
Okay, and how could this impact the relationship between China and the Philippines, like we're talking about? Say a bit more about that.
Well, China and the Philippines' relationship has gone downhill since the election of President Marcos, not just because of President Marcos, although he has reasserted Philippine sovereignty, but largely because the US and its allies, Japan and Australia, have really bolstered the Philippines in asserting its sovereignty.
So this move, increases tensions in the South China Sea, but what does it mean for the United States?
Well, the region itself is critical for world trade. It's critical for the United States if the US is to retain control of the overall Pacific situation. If the PLA Navy and the PLA forces generally can break out past the first island chain into the Central Pacific, that would jeopardize the US ability to control affairs in the Western Pacific, particularly with its links to Japan and Korea and the like. It would give Beijing an enormous advantage and would push the US back into being much less than the global power it now is.
And so I just want to come back to this law itself. It sounds like it could give China the ability to grab up a bunch of Filipino sailors as prisoners. I heard some speculation that they could use those people as sort of bargaining chips. Can you talk a bit about that?
There's no question that that's a primary reason behind the move by Beijing, so that it would have bargaining chips. The US and the Philippines in particular are retaliating already by destroying some of the Chinese fishing vessels which were located in Philippine waters. So it's a tit-for-tat situation, and the PRC knows that it would escalate this at its jeopardy with the Philippines or with Taiwan at this stage, because the US could get engaged at a very senior level, and so could Japan particularly, and then all the other allies, India and the like. So it's a very dangerous escalation game for the PRC at this particular time.
Yeah, and we're talking about this escalation. These tensions keep rising. We've seen all kinds of moves in recent years that have escalated tensions, and this is another one. Talk about the overall strategy that China has in the South China Sea with all this.
Well, it is really one of the key areas for global trade, for global fisheries, and particularly for underwater resources, particularly oil and gas. So this is a prime area of interest for all the littoral states. And the PRC is not the legitimate claimant to those areas anyway, even with the 9-dash line. It's also critical for trade going through the Indian Ocean and up to Japan, and from Australia up to East Asia as well. So it is vital from that point of view for China to deny it to other people and to claim the resources for itself. But ultimately, it would, if the PRC was able to dominate, it would push the United States out of the Western Pacific to a large degree, jeopardize the basing in Guam and the like, and really set the West back enormously.
All right, Gregory Copley, I'm sure we'll be talking to you again about the rising tensions in the South China Sea. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, a story of courage. The documentary Eternal Spring won the Best Canadian Documentary Award at the Sundar Prize Film Festival in Canada over the weekend.
The film festival focuses on celebrating human resilience. The animated documentary, based on a true story, takes viewers inside the world of a real-life survivor of religious persecution in China. Take a look.
Not alone. Now we are going through a really hard time. All our films focuses that what we have as human beings is our resilience, which is what will get us through.
The inaugural Sundar Awards Film Festival, themed Celebrating Human Resilience, featured nearly 300 films, with 9 films receiving awards. The movie Eternal Spring won the Best Canadian Documentary Award.
I really felt inspired by their courage and their sacrifice, and this spirit to, just want to speak the truth despite all of the pressure and intimidation and repression that they had endured. So hopefully more people who see this film will also resonate with it in that way.
The documentary is based on a true story of a group of Falun Gong practitioners. Falun Gong, or Falun Dafa, is a spiritual practice based on truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. The practice was publicly introduced in 1992 and quickly gained popularity throughout China. In July 1999, the Chinese Communist Party launched a brutal persecution, beginning with a disinformation campaign to smear Falun Gong's reputation. Eternal Spring combines animation with real interviews to depict events from 22 years ago, when Falun Gong practitioners in Changchun City broke through the Chinese Communist Party's information blockade. Their goal was to counter the regime's false narratives about the practice.
Really excited to see it today, and just so moved, so impactful, huge inspiration. It's a beautiful thing to have people believe that through peace, through nonviolence, they can kind of elevate themselves.
It hits you in the heart, and it just makes that emotional connection. People who were looking to just better themselves spiritually, physically, emotionally, were condemned for it. So I want to be respectful.
People need to stand up and fight for what is happening in China. The world has to do their part to support the people in China who are being discriminated against.
My overall dream would be that it's shown one day freely in China. Also, my expectation is that people start to wake up to it, keep fighting for what's right.
NTD News, Vancouver, Canada.
Before we head to break, if you have any feedback, please email us at news.today@ntd.com.
And stay with us. We'll have more stories in just a moment.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day, just by brushing your teeth.
I never thought that whitening my teeth could be so easy. I just put the gel on the brush, the toothpaste on it, brush, and I can see my white teeth.
Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth. Without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist. And it was about time that a product was developed that you would be able to do that with just brushing.
And now Smile Actives is even better with new Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power, clinically shown to whiten teeth faster, up to 8 shades. 100% of users saw whiter teeth. On food stains, coffee and wine stains, even on veneers, crowns, and dentures.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Why spend hundreds of dollars for whitening treatments at the dentist when now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth? Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one get one absolutely free for just $24.95. That's 2 for 1 and save 58%. We'll even include free shipping. Get your teeth whiter guaranteed or return it within 60 days for your money back.
I smile every day now.
The difference is literally night and day.
So now I'm always smiling, always choosing, because now my teeth are much whiter.
This offer is not available in stores, so call or click now before the special buy one get one free offer goes away.
Looking for a healthy and smooth-tasting brew? Drop by Days Coffee Roasters today and explore our wide selection of specialty-grade small batch roasted coffee. Home to North America's first enzyme fermented coffee, we source a wide selection of specialty-grade coffee beans from around the world, and our baristas are ready to craft your customized brew. Visit Days Coffee at 28 North Street, Middletown, New York. Come experience a brew like no other.
Welcome to NTD News Today.
Here are today's top stories. 1 person killed and over 1,000 structures burned. An entire town in New Mexico is evacuating from fast-spreading wildfires. Local residents tell their stories.
A Trump-endorsed congressman takes the lead in a nail-biting Virginia primary, and results from key Democratic races in the state as incumbents step down.
Russia and North Korea taking their relation to a new level. We have more on what came out of Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to North Korea.
NASDAQ is looking at a fine of $9.6 million for regulatory violations. We'll have more on that.
Chinese state-backed media say Chinese automakers are calling for retaliatory tariffs on European gas vehicle imports.
A Japanese seniors breakdancing group gets down ahead of the sport's Olympic debut. Their routines may not be as acrobatic, but the goal is to have fun and stay fit.
This is NTD News Today, live from our NTD Global Headquarters. Here are Stephania Cox and Chris Beers.
A state of emergency in New Mexico as wildfires spread quickly.
One person has been killed and a whole town is now evacuated.
The South Fork Fire and the Salt Fire have burned a combined area of more than 20,000 acres in central New Mexico.
The entire town of Ruidoso, with a population of 7,000, is under mandatory evacuation.
We've seen other fires, but nothing like this. Not even close. That Upper Canyon area is gone. There's nothing left. It's gone. It's burnt to the ground. And there's a lot of homes back there.
We knew it was urgent because usually they say ready, set, go. And ready, you could be there for a day or two. Set is a couple hours usually. Go means now. And the call was for our area. We never got ready, set. It was go. And within an hour, the police department, the fire department, they're blocking, barricading the roads to our area and telling everybody to leave.
Authorities say the South Fork fire started on Monday and spread over nearly 15,000 acres in just over a day. The two wildfires are so far 0% contained.
The fires have destroyed over 1,400 structures. The governor of New Mexico declared a state of emergency for the local county and neighboring tribal lands. She also deployed National Guard troops to help.
Weather forecasters expect cooler weather and the chance of rain to bring some relief this week. And cities across the U.S. are breaking decades-old temperature records this week. A massive heat wave is covering the central and eastern parts of the country.
Roughly 80 million people from Indiana to New England are under a heat advisory or excessive heat warnings. Officials are cautioning the hot weather could turn deadly.
Chicago registered 97 degrees, breaking a record set in 1957. Detroit and Philadelphia and cities in New Hampshire, Connecticut, and Maine are also due for record temperatures in the coming days.
Central Maine is running 30 degrees above average.
And here in New York, state parks will be free today and on Thursday to help residents beat the heat.
And Governor Kathy Hochul said sprays and misters are being added to several sites in the city, and several beaches and pools are temporarily open ahead of the regular season, so go stay cool.
Yeah. Tropical storm Alberto formed today in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. It's the first named storm of what's forecast to be a busy hurricane season.
Alberto was located 185 miles east of Tampico, Mexico, and 295 miles south of Brownsville, Texas.
According to the National Hurricane Center in Miami, it had top sustained winds of 40 miles per hour.
A tropical storm is defined by sustained winds of between 39 and 73 miles per hour, and above that the system becomes a hurricane.
Some news from the primaries. One of America's most conservative congressmen faced a tight renomination battle in Virginia. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on that and other results from the primaries.
You know why we win? Because we're right. House Freedom Caucus Chair Bob Good, seeking a third term in Virginia's 5th District, was challenged by State Senator John McGuire. With 96% of ballots counted, McGuire led by 327 votes, just over half a percentage point. McGuire claimed victory late Tuesday, but the race has not been called. Good initially endorsed Florida Governor Ron DeSantis for president, angering former President Trump, but switched back after DeSantis dropped out. Trump endorsed McGuire, supporting him in a Monday night telephone rally. In Virginia, candidates who lose by less than 1% can request a recount. Meanwhile, Democrats in Northern and Central Virginia selected nominees to replace popular incumbents not seeking re-election. In House District 7, Eugene Vindman won a crowded Democratic primary to replace Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger, who is running for governor in 2025. In House District 10, Suhas Subramaniam emerged from a field of 12 Democrats to replace Representative Jennifer Wexton, who is not seeking re-election due to a rare neurological illness. Statewide, voters selected Navy veteran Hung Tsao as the Republican nominee to challenge Democrat Tim Kaine for the U.S. Senate. The Trump-endorsed Tsao prevailed over 4 opponents. In Oklahoma, Republican Congressman Tom Cole won his primary, defeating businessman Paul Bonder and 3 others in the solidly Republican 4th District. In Georgia's 3rd District, Brian Jack, former White House political director under Trump, won the Republican primary runoff against State Senator Mike Dugan. Jack is expected to be the strong favorite in November to succeed retiring GOP Representative Drew Ferguson. Additionally, former Trump official Wayne Johnson defeated Charles Hand III in a Republican primary runoff. Hand, convicted for his alleged involvement in the January 6th Capitol breach, was vying for a House seat. Johnson will challenge Democratic Representative Sanford Bishop in the general election for the reliably Democratic district. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Former President Trump is addressing the crisis at the southern border and the economy in his campaign speeches. Here he is at a rally in Wisconsin.
During my term, we had gasoline down to $1.87 a gallon. And by the end, the 30-year mortgage rate was 2.7%. Think of that, and now it's 10%, 11%, 12%, and you can't get the money, so it doesn't make any difference. They can tell you what the rate is, but you can't get the money.
Trump promised to stop what he called wasteful spending and to terminate policies he connected with the Green New Deal.
The Tuesday campaign event took place in the city of Racine, Wisconsin.
Trump's speech came hours after Biden announced a new plan to provide a pathway to citizenship for hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants who are married to U.S. citizens.
Trump attacked the policy, promising to reverse it, and he criticized immigration practices at the border. The former president complained of poor record-keeping and lack of vetting at the border. And President Biden raked in over $8 million at a fundraiser in Virginia. He was joined by former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe hosted the Tuesday event at his home in Virginia. Recent polls show Biden and Trump virtually tied in that state.
Biden and the Clintons attempted to contrast the current administration and former President Trump.
The fundraiser followed a star-studded cash haul in California last weekend when the president appeared with former President Obama.
Hollywood stars George Clooney, Julia Roberts, and Barbra Streisand attended the event that raised more than $30 million.
And next, the qualification window for CNN's presidential debate is approaching, and it may be just out of reach for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Candidates have until midnight tonight to meet the requirements for the first in-person debate of the 2024 election. So far, just 2 candidates, Biden and Trump, have qualified. Others have yet to meet CNN's qualifications, which include appearing on a sufficient number of state ballots to reach the 270 electoral vote threshold to win the presidency, and receiving at least 15% support in 4 separate national polls. RFK Jr. has achieved that in 3 polls, and he's not on the ballot in enough states yet. The 90-minute debate is set for next Thursday in Atlanta.
The Senate passes a bill to speed up and reduce the costs of nuclear plant construction. The Bipartisan Advance Act is seen as a major win for the nuclear industry.
It passed yesterday with an 88-2 vote. Senators Ed Markey and Bernie Sanders opposed the bill over safety concerns.
The measure was bundled with a bill renewing support for the U.S. Fire Administration and firefighter grants. Both measures now head to the president for approval.
Senators Tom Carper, Shelley Moore Capito, and Sheldon Whitehouse praised the bill's passage. They highlighted its potential to boost job creation and energy security. Carper emphasized nuclear energy's role in providing carbon-free electricity and future job opportunities.
Critics, including Edwin Lyman from the Union of Concerned Scientists, raised concerns about weakened safety oversight.
And a bill to ban bump stocks was blocked by Senate Republicans yesterday. Bump stocks can be used to convert semi-automatic rifles into weapons that can shoot hundreds of rounds per minute.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on the Judiciary be discharged from further consideration of S-1909, the Banning Unlawful Machine Gun Parts Act.
While some members of the GOP back a bump stock ban, others in the party disagree. That includes Senator Pete Ricketts of Nebraska, who called the bill an overreach.
He argued the bill would ban any item that makes firearms easier and, in some cases, safer to shoot. Last week, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a federal ban on bump stocks that former President Trump approved of.
And the Congressional Budget Office says this year's federal budget deficit will be $400 billion higher than originally estimated, a 27% increase. The rise is driven by higher costs for Ukraine and Israel aid, increased student loan forgiveness, higher Medicaid spending, and FDIC insurance expenses from recent banking crises. The report, released Tuesday, projects the national debt will climb from 99% of GDP in 2024 to a record 122% by 2034 and continue rising. This challenges President Biden's claims of deficit reduction as borrowing increased in 2023 and is expected to rise again this year. And coming up, the House Ethics Committee launches a new investigation into Congressman Matt Gaetz. This comes right after Gaetz' sharp criticism of the committee.
And a bipartisan group of senators introduces legislation to address deepfake revenge porn. A victim shares her story.
Amazon has been fined for almost $6 million. This for violating a safety law more than 59,000 times, says California's Labor Commissioner's Office. More in just a moment on that.
Hi, I'm Caleb, and this is my story. I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, or brittle bone disease. I have broken my bones almost 200 times, and I have had 11 surgeries. But I didn't let that stop me. I love to bike ride, climb, race, and I'm learning how to stand and walk. But I can only do all of this because of generous people like you and Shriners Hospitals for Children.
Because of people like you, Shriners Hospitals for Children has helped more than 1.3 million kids just like me, regardless of their family's ability to pay.
Shriners Hospitals for Children is only able to provide this world-class, life-changing medical care because of the generous gifts of people just like you.
Because of you, I can ride my bike. I can play basketball.
Because of people like you, I can run.
I can smile.
Will you send your love to the rescue today?
When you go to loveshriners.org right now and give just 63 cents a day, you're helping kids just like me.
Like me. Like me.
When you give today, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of the love you gave to a kid just like me.
Your gift, no matter how small, can help a child today.
This is your moment to make a difference.
When you pick up your phone, I know you have it right there, and call to give. You're helping kids like me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, please call again or give right away at loveshriners.org.
Your gift makes a difference. Thank you for giving.
When I drink it, the first thing was I feel the warmth in my tummy. It's kind of like gently radiating out, a kind of a very comforting warmth. And it was really good, actually. I felt much better. I did feel, actually, an effect. And I find that it is actually better when I take it regularly.
It's actually steamed and dried 9 times. And so it's really, the essence is really extracted.
Then the second time I tried it really like on an empty stomach and just
just two teaspoons of it and over a few times. And wow, that was a big difference because suddenly I could feel, wow, I was very good energized. I didn't have to eat. I could work outside in the garden for a couple of hours and I still felt very well. And I was impressed by that. So I think it's a good product.
We're in the nation's capital asking the important questions so that you're in the know. Join us daily, Monday through Friday, on the Capitol Report on NTD News.
Thank you for staying with us. The House Ethics Committee announces it's investigating new misconduct claims against Congressman Matt Gaetz, including whether he sought to obstruct government probes of his conduct. This comes a day after Gaetz criticized the committee over what he called a political attack. The committee, defending its process, said it's interviewed dozens of witnesses, reviewed thousands of documents, and issued 25 subpoenas. The investigation into Gaetz, which started in April 2021, includes allegations of sexual misconduct, drug use, and improper gifts. Gaetz denies all allegations against him, suggesting the probe is retribution for his role in ousting former Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
Officials announced that a Customs and Border Protection officer pleaded guilty to stealing more than $18,000 from arriving international flight passengers.
He did so by swiping the cash while doing currency verification at a Florida airport. The man, William Timothy, pleaded guilty yesterday.
Prosecutors in Florida said that as part of a plea deal, he agreed to immediately resign from the Border Protection Agency.
And students in the Los Angeles Unified School District will have to revert to passing handwritten notes in class. Board members there voted yesterday in favor of banning cell phones while school is in session. The ban is scheduled to start in January, and it will affect more than 500,000 students from kindergarten through 12th grade. Those in support of this move say cell phones can negatively impact in-person communication, creative thinking, and mental health. Critics of the ban say students should have access to their phones, especially in case of an emergency. Board officials have a few months to update the cell phone policy, which has remained the same since 2011. It will then be presented to the public.
And a bipartisan group of senators has introduced the Take It Down Act to address deepfake revenge porn. Lawmakers say the bill aims to deter perpetrators from posting AI-generated explicit images online.
Senator Ted Cruz introduced the legislation, which Senator Amy Klobuchar and a number of other senators are co-sponsoring. The bill would help defend victims from non-consensual intimate image abuse, also known as revenge porn.
The legislation would criminalize the publication of such images, including AI-generated content.
The law would also require social media and similar websites to remove such content upon notification from a victim.
High school student Elliston Berry is a victim of deepfake revenge porn. She described the impact it had on her life.
As a 14-year-old who had just entered high school, this experience threw off my freshman year and created a fearful environment for me and my friends. I've always looked forward to going to high school as it is such a huge part of life. But being involved in volleyball and hanging with friends, I was able to enjoy school. But once these photos were released, I dreaded school and was anxious to even step foot on campus.
California regulators have fined Amazon nearly $6 million. The state's labor commissioner's office says the company violated a safety law more than 59,000 times. The news was reported by the New York Times. The warehouse quotas law requires employers to make quotas transparent to workers, as well as any discipline they may face if they don't meet those quotas. The labor commissioner says the law was put into effect to prevent the kind of system Amazon uses at two of its Southern California warehouses. Amazon disagreed with the allegations and has appealed the penalties. In a statement by Amazon spokesperson Maureen Vogel, she said Amazon doesn't have fixed quotas and that individual performance is evaluated over a long period of time. The fine, announced Tuesday, is the largest issued under the law, which went into effect in 2022. And attorneys have asked a federal judge to prevent crew members on the cargo ship Dolly from returning to their home countries. This is amid ongoing investigations into the circumstances that led up to the deadly collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in March. According to court filings, 8 of the Dolly's crew members were scheduled to leave the ship and go back home as early as tomorrow. Attorneys representing the city of Baltimore said the men should remain in the U.S. That's so they can be deposed in ongoing legal disputes over who should be held responsible for covering costs and damages resulting from the bridge collapse. The incident killed 6 construction workers and temporarily halted most maritime traffic through Baltimore's busy port. Next, surviving son of Alex Murdaugh, a former attorney convicted of murder, is suing multiple media companies for defamation. Buster Murdaugh claims several documentaries falsely suggesting he might be responsible for the 2015 death of a former classmate. 19-year-old Stephen Smith was found dead along a stretch of road in rural Hampton County, South Carolina. The death is being investigated as a homicide and no one has been arrested. The 8 defendants named in the lawsuit include Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery and the production companies that produced the documentaries. The lawsuit claims Buster Murdaugh's reputation was irreparably damaged and he suffered mental anguish as a result. His father, Alex Murdaugh, is serving a life sentence in the 2021 shooting deaths of his wife and younger son.
Canada's Westjet is canceling and consolidating flights ahead of an expected strike. The airline's mechanics union gave a 72-hour strike notice yesterday. The strike starts tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The union said the strike covers about 680 aircraft maintenance engineers and other skilled employees. Westjet says about 6,500 customers will be impacted. The airline canceled roughly 40 flights scheduled for yesterday and today. This comes after Westjet asked the Canadian Industrial Relations Board to intervene under the Canada Labour Code. Westjet Encore's pilot secured a new 5-year contract with pay increases last week. Westjet Encore runs a network of regional flights under Westjet.
And up next, the White House reportedly calling off a high-level meeting with Israel, what they're taking issue with when it comes to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
And a U.S. soldier detained in Russia was found guilty today of charges including theft and death threats to his girlfriend. That and more when we return with NTD News.
And a group of U.S. lawmakers met with the Dalai Lama in India today. They said they would not allow China to influence the choice of his successor. More in just a moment here on NTD News Today.
When I started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution one product company. Well, since then, with the help of my dedicated employees, we now have hundreds of products, some you might not even know about. To get the word out, we're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. And for the first time ever, our 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, just $25. Our brand new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And I've never done this before. Premium MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size for only $25. And there's so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code for our $25 extravaganza. Order $75 and over, your entire order ships absolutely free.
Funny expression. There's a little scar right below his neck. The artist, on a trip to somewhere in South America, he met this kid who told him a story about himself. The technique is really good. As you'll see, like in the foreground, there's water on his face. The texture is so realistic, but then sort of in the back, you have these washed out colors, almost a sort of fantasy feel. The whole of the picture is very balanced, and you still get that sense of harmony and warm light from it. The artist, he was really moved by the child spirit. The child's from the slums, and so he looks around and he sees people who either get into drugs or they get into gangs, and he doesn't want that for himself. So he was telling this artist about how he's going to make a better life for himself. The immense spirit and determination that the kid had really stuck with the guy, so that's why he painted such a large portrait of the child.
Many of us have been child fighters, but this little kid learned to defend himself in his own way. It's a great sacrifice that way. And so this is another form of strength, another form of endurance. We are capable of much more than we think. These children amaze us.
Welcome back. The White House is canceling a high-level meeting with Israel on Iran. It was originally set for tomorrow. That's according to an Axios report by a CNN contributor.
The cancellation comes after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a video accusing the U.S. of withholding military aid from Israel.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says only one shipment of heavy bombs is on hold.
The cancellation also comes as Israel warned Hazebollah of the prospect of all-out war. Earlier, the terrorist group had published a 9-minute video showing Israeli military and civilian locations.
And in the Red Sea, a coal carrier owned by Greece has sunk after being attacked by missiles from the Houthis last week. One crew member is feared dead. This is believed to be the second ship sunk by the terrorist group based in Yemen.
Next, an Israeli Air Force pilot involved in the rescue of 4 hostages from Gaza is now recounting the operation. He says he can't stop thinking about the moment the freed prisoners boarded his helicopter. Here's that story.
The pilot, known only by the name Captain Y, was part of the high-stakes operation that took place in Gaza on June 8th. The operation saw the safe return of 4 hostages, including Noah Argamani. They were held captive for 8 months after their kidnapping on October 7th.
When I first saw the 3 hostages, Shlomi, Almog, and Andre, walking in the helicopter, I felt relief and happiness that surrounded the whole team, the whole helicopter team that were in this mission.
The rescue mission, carried out in broad daylight, involved close coordination between air and ground forces.
Almog and Andre were extremely happy. They were sitting here looking out of the window and seeing Israel from the air after 8 months of being held in Hamas captivity, and they were extremely happy and joyful. Yeah. I feel honored and privileged to be a part of an operation that eventually managed to bring back 4 hostages back to their families and their loved ones.
The day of the operation, June 8th, was also Captain Y's birthday. He called it the best birthday present he could get.
Russia and North Korea signing a new agreement to elevate their relations. Here's what North Korean leader Kim Jong-un had to say during Russian President Vladimir Putin's first visit to Pyongyang in 24 years.
The relations between the two countries has been elevated to a higher level as an alliance. By signing comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries, we will expand our cooperation in various areas including politics, economy, culture, and military.
The new partnership agreement pledges mutual aid if either country faces aggression. Details of the deal were not immediately clear, but it could mark the strongest connection between Moscow and Pyongyang since the end of the Cold War.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un said the deal was their strongest ever treaty. He also vowed full support for Russia's war in Ukraine.
Putin called the deal a breakthrough document. He said Russia and North Korea are fighting together against the United States and its allies, and that they want to cooperate closely to overcome U.S.-led sanctions.
The Kremlin's website said Putin and Kim also signed an agreement to build a broad bridge on their border and another on cooperation in healthcare. New Zealand's Prime Minister said negotiations with Japan's Prime Minister on an information security agreement concluded today.
Speaking at a joint statement in Tokyo, New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon said that the two countries have agreed to take the partnership forward on a number of areas, such as maritime security and sanctions enforcement.
Luxon added that they had discussed Russian President Vladimir Putin's visit to Pyongyang and the importance of Japan and New Zealand's cooperation to deter North Korea's missile threat to regional security.
We talked briefly about Vladimir Putin's visit to Pyongyang and how North Korea is fueling Russia's illegal war in Ukraine. We discussed the importance of our work together to deter North Korea from advancing its nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles program.
During his 4-day visit in Japan, Luxon said he was also seeking opportunities for cooperation between New Zealand and Japan in areas such as economy, renewable energy, and space science. And now we have some short headlines from the UK, Sweden, and other European countries. An American soldier detained in Russia has been sentenced for theft and threatening murder. According to a Russian state news outlet, U.S. Staff Sergeant Gordon Black has been sentenced to nearly 4 years in a Russian penal colony.
Russian authorities arrested Black last month. He had traveled to Russia to visit a woman believed to be his girlfriend. Black was accused of stealing a little over $100 from the woman. He was also accused of assaulting her.
State media reports Black partially admitted to the theft, but not to charges of threatening to kill the woman. The court handed down a sentence of 3 years and 9 months. His lawyer says Black will appeal.
The U.S. government has repeatedly warned American citizens not to travel to Russia.
Greece's foreign minister says Europe has a duty to host children hurt and traumatized by the war in Gaza. He's seeking partners to temporarily bring the children to the European Union, adding that he discussed the idea with Palestine's prime minister earlier this week.
Greece was elected as a member of the United Nations Security Council for 2025 and 2026 earlier this month. The country's foreign minister believes Greece can act as a peace broker due to its historical ties with the Arab world. He didn't say how many people could be hosted by Greece or the EU.
The European Commission announced on Wednesday that France and 6 other countries should be disciplined for running budget deficits in excess of EU limits.
The deadlines for reducing the gaps are set for November.
It's likely the move is to constrain any plans for extra spending by the French government as it emerges from a June 30th to July 7th election.
That would make it more difficult for the national rally of Marine Le Pen, the leader in opinion polls. She promised to deliver on more public expenditure and a lower pension age.
The president of Romania is currently considering whether to continue his bid to become the next head of NATO or not. He says he'll address the issue at a State Defense Council meeting tomorrow.
This comes after Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte gained the backing of nearly all alliance members. NATO takes decisions by consensus, so any candidate needs the support of all 32 allies. Only Romania is still officially opposed to Rutte's candidacy.
And the leader of Britain's Liberal Democrats, Ed Davey, has turned the country's 6-week general election campaign into a showreel of self-deprecating fun.
He tumbled off a paddleboard into England's biggest lake, screamed atop a roller coaster, splashed down a water slide, and tackled an assault course.
He's also built sandcastles and competed in wheelbarrow races and had a summer fashion makeover on morning television.
The stunts of the party's answer to its electoral challenge. It's often 3rd or 4th place behind the UK's 2 main parties, the ruling Conservatives and their rival, the Labour Party.
Davies' campaign style has drawn mixed reviews. Polls suggest an uptick in support for the party, but many voters struggle to name its leader. And Nasdaq Stockholm has been fined 100 million Swedish crowns. That's nearly $10 million by Sweden's financial regulator.
A statement by the regulator today said the stock exchange didn't comply with rules on 4 occasions in recent years.
Sweden's Financial Supervisory Authority said its investigation revealed deficiencies in how Nasdaq Stockholm has conducted its trading monitoring, which should prevent, identify, and report insider dealing.
Next, environmental protesters in Britain sprayed the Stonehenge with paint earlier today. Footage online showed orange marks covering the world-famous prehistoric megalithic structure.
Local police announced that 2 people have been arrested on suspicion of damaging the ancient monument.
In a video released by environmental group Just Stop Oil, 2 protesters were seen running toward Stonehenge's megaliths. They spray painted the stones as another person attempted to stop them.
Just Stop Oil wants the British government to end the extraction and burning of oil, gas, and coal by 2030.
The group has previously engaged in other disputive environmental protests, including shutting down major roads and disrupting cultural and sporting events.
And the Justice Department charged associates of Mexico's Sinaloa drug cartel with conspiring with Chinese underground banking groups. It said more than $50 million in drugs flowed between the cartel and underground money exchanges. The Office of Public Affairs said Chinese and Mexican law enforcement worked with the DOJ to investigate and arrest individuals who had fled the U.S. after being charged with distributing drugs and laundering money.
20 of these individuals are expected to be arraigned in Los Angeles in the coming weeks.
A DEA administrator said laundering money gave the Sinaloa cartel the means to produce and import drugs and cause what she called the worst drug crisis in American history.
The chief of IRS Criminal Investigations said this case is a prime example of Chinese money launderers working hand in hand with drug traffickers. The State Department has approved a multi-million-dollar arms sale to Taiwan. The sale was approved for drones and missiles worth about $360 million combined.
The arms sale includes anti-armor loitering munitions and other related equipment. Loitering munitions are small guided missiles that can fly around a target until they're directed to attack.
Taiwan's presidential office thanked the U.S. for its security commitments. It's the Biden administration's 15th weapons sale to Taiwan since 2021. The U.S. is bound by law to provide Taiwan with the means to defend itself, despite the lack of formal diplomatic ties to the island.
And Chinese automakers are reportedly urging Beijing to hike tariffs on imported European gasoline-powered cars. The move is in retaliation for the European Union's proposed tariffs on exports of Chinese-made EVs. The news was reported by the Chinese state-run Global Times newspaper. It says European and Chinese car makers were both in attendance at a closed-door meeting organized by China's Ministry of Commerce. Industry insiders say both Europe and China have reasons for wanting to strike a deal in the months ahead to de-escalate tensions and avoid billions of dollars in new costs for Chinese EV makers. The European Commission said it was looking into the situation to find solutions. EU trade policy is turning increasingly protective amid concerns that China's development model could see the bloc flooded with cheap goods, including electric vehicles. Chinese firms are looking to boost sales overseas due to weak demand at home. A group of U.S. lawmakers and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi just met the Dalai Lama in India today. The lawmakers made a pledge to the 88-year-old Tibetan spiritual leader, saying they would not allow China to interfere with the choice of his successor.
The U.S. delegation received a warm welcome from the exiled Tibetans in India. The meeting came after Congress passed a bill supporting Tibet's rights, which the lawmakers say President Biden will sign into law.
Former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said the passing of the bill is Washington's signal to the Chinese regime, quote, "Things have changed now, get ready for that."
The Dalai Lama knows that this is not true, that Tibet is part of China. And the people of Tibet know that that is not true. And the United States of America knows that that is not true.
China can express unhappiness if it wants. We're going to stand for what's right. What's right is to make sure that Tibetans have freedom, they're able to return to their native land, they're able to have and live and keep their culture, their history, that's what's right, and that's what's important.
The Chinese military took control of Tibet in the 1950s. The Tibetan spiritual and political leader, the Dalai Lama, has since been exiled overseas. Washington recognizes Tibet as part of China, but strongly opposes China's crackdown on Tibet's culture and human rights, especially the freedom of belief.
Chinese Communist Party leaders claim that they have the right to approve the successor. In the past, the regime had kept another Tibetan spiritual leader under house arrest in Beijing until he passed away.
On Tuesday, China's embassy in India condemned the U.S. delegation, saying the exiled Tibetan government is illegal and describing foreign support for Tibet as interference in China's internal affairs.
Pope Francis called for prayers for the Chinese people. This was during his weekly audience in St. Peter's Square as the Vatican looks to upgrade its relations with Communist China.
The Pope greeted an association that honors a late Vatican envoy to Beijing. He made reference to the 100th anniversary of the Catholic Church's only ever council meeting in China.
He then said, quote, "This also makes me think about the beloved Chinese people. Let us always pray for this noble and very courageous people who have such a beautiful culture."
The Vatican's relations with Communist China have historically been fraught. The Pope has made efforts to upgrade them, but the Vatican's overtures to China are controversial. Critics see them as a form of appeasement toward the communist regime.
The Vatican has accused the Chinese regime of violating a landmark 2018 pact on appointing bishops. There are an estimated 10 to 12 million Catholics in China.
China is sending 11 swimmers involved in a doping scandal to the Paris 2024 Olympics. That's about a third of their team. Those swimmers had tested positive for the banned heart drug trimazodine in 2021. While those tests took place 3 years ago, the results only came to light this year. This has brought international outrage both at China and the World Anti-Doping Agency. The agency said it accepted China's explanation that the swimmers who failed tests accidentally ate food contaminated with the substance. A review into this case is still ongoing. And coming up, a Japanese seniors breakdancing group celebrates the sport's Olympic debut. Their routines may not be as acrobatic, but the goal is to have fun and stay fit.
And a strange monolith has popped up in the Nevada desert. Jutting out of the rocks in a remote mountain, it looks something from another world. More in just a moment about that here on NTD News Today.
We've been spending a lot more time than ever at home these days. So maybe now you've just noticed cold air coming in from a couple windows, or that your patio door isn't closing fully, which means you're losing heat in the winter, losing cooling in the summer, losing money all year long. And that means now is the time for new windows and patio doors from Renewal by Andersen. Most installations are usually done in just one day. Renewal by Andersen windows and doors can help lower your heating bills and air conditioning bills with their most energy efficient glass available. Only their windows are made with Fibrex material, proven to be 2 times stronger than vinyl, and they're backed by a 20-year warranty. And right now, when you buy one window or patio door, get one at 40% off. Plus, there's no money down, no payments for 12 months, and no interest for 12 months. Plus, an additional $200 off your entire purchase.
1-800-968-1443.
بیست 16 سال
عمري ما هفت
اما داعش کردی ام برانبر خشک و دایکان یزدی اما کاری که دور لهمو چمک دموکراسی و موافقانی مرو و انسانیت او بارودوخی که است های به تایبت لعراق و سوریه بشه که دگرت و با حالانه که اداره اوباما کرد
مریم بو او 7 روز من بو و داعش از کرد
تامبون كرا قوتينيز قريا بما متشكر بهار في ذا نبو باوان رحم نبو
قدامنا سؤالين ونخدران نزل بقى نفستم بس أنا قبس ناش بجوش بانش.
They would literally be auctioned in front of soldiers, and then the soldiers begin to bid.
زاروبان همو جيبري تي حملي زارو يدم واسسيبان همو جيبري.
وحشیگری کی توا عیاره ظلمی که یک جار زور جوره لما افرطانه کرا و تعدایی که زور زوریان لیده که همانه روزانه دست فروشیده. Imagine being a child, you know, having a child mentality, and these evil people come and wheel you away from the only safety you've ever known.
For the day's top headlines and the news you need to know, tune in right here to NTD Evening News.
Soccer fever at Euro 2024 in Germany is being felt not only inside packed stadiums, raucous bars, and heaving city squares, but also in the more rarefied atmosphere of an opera house. Let's take a look.
Soccer fever at Euro 2024 in Germany is being felt in a very unlikely place, an opera house in Hamburg, Germany. This new production called Fußball Oper, or Football Opera, is selling out to lovers of both sport and music. The director Ingham Rahad recreates a soccer pitch and the chaotic interactions between players, referee and ball, mixing fan chants with traditional arias and pop songs. The show lasts 90 minutes, the same time as a soccer game.
I found that both have a lot of drama and a lot of performance, and so I thought a combination of both would be a very interesting evening.
Songs featured range from the Champions League anthem to Giacomo Puccini's Nessun Dorma. Freya Senkamp plays a referee in the opera. Well, the big trick for opera singers when we sing something that is not opera is to make it sound not like opera. So we tend to have this very schooled head voice and this vibrato, so to turn that off. And yeah, it's a bit of belting as well. One audience member says she is finally able to bring her soccer-loving partner to the opera. Others, like Jörg Rudhard, praise the imaginative fusion of entertainment cultures.
It's really a good way to attract people that maybe are not going to opera very much and maybe tend to go and watch more football. So I think for me it's and actually it's not only opera, right? It's only also classical pieces, also Queen. We heard some pieces from the 50s, I think, really tacky pieces that all really was put together really nicely.
Next, a Japanese breakdancing group for seniors is busting moves ahead of the sport's Olympic debut. Their routines may not be as acrobatic, but the goal is to have fun and stay fit. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the details.
This 74-year-old master of classical Japanese dance is using a stage name, Sarukawa Kiyoshi. Getting involved in breakdancing was an easy call after the sport was confirmed for the 2024 Summer Games.
And now, breakdancing is going to debut at the Paris Olympics, and Japan even has a gold medal candidate. I think it is amazing. I used to see kids practicing breakdance under the railroad tracks and would think to myself, I'd probably be one of them if I were young.
Kiyoshi is a member of Arastyle Senior, Japan's only breakdancing club made up of senior citizens.
Of course we can't do difficult moves. We are getting old. There's absolutely no way that I can spin on my head or stand on one hand, but I think breakdancing would help strengthen my lower body and make me exercise more. So I have been doing it.
38-year-old dance instructor Yusuke Ara is a former national breakdancing champion. He's excited older people are getting involved in the sport.
It's really hope that more seniors will gather in Tokyo's Edogawa ward and spread breaking from Edogawa to the rest of Japan and even the world. There's still a lot of potential with the group. It would be great if seniors can enjoy breakdancing in a healthy way and get more attention so that more people will join us.
Breakdancing's new Olympic status could attract more dancers. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
American swimmer Regan Smith set a world record at the U.S. Olympic trials last night in the women's 100-meter backstroke. The 22-year-old Minnesota native finished in 57.13 seconds. Smith's time easily beat the previous record of 57.33 seconds set a year ago by Australia's Kaylee McEwen.
Smith was just 17 when she first set a world record in the 100 back at the 2019 World Championships, but the young athlete struggled to deal with the sudden newfound fame.
Smith has been working with a sports psychologist since October. Her coach, Bob Bowman, is best known for his work with the 23-time gold medalist Michael Phelps.
Bowman takes care of the physical side with a grueling training program. And it's the 30th anniversary of the 90s sitcom Friends, and Krispy Kreme is honoring the iconic show in a special way.
A brand new line of Friends-themed donuts. Aren't they cute?
Oh, Krispy Kreme says they take inspiration from famous episodes and moments from the show. The sweet treats will be available for a limited time in the UK.
That's right, only in the United Kingdom. And so far, no word from Krispy Kreme on whether the company will release the Friends-inspired donuts in the States. And an Alaska man and 2 police officers joined forces to rescue a baby moose calf from what police described as sure demise. This came after the calf got stuck between a float plane and a dock in a lake. Let's take a look. Spencer Warren works for a tourism company in Homer, Alaska. They provided outdoor trips like flight seeing and flights to bear viewing locations. He arrived at work to find a baby moose stuck between the company's float plane and the dock. He looked around and saw the calf's mother nearby with the other twin. He called his boss about the situation.
The boss called police since they could arrive quicker. 2 officers arrived, one blocked the mama moose from the rescue attempt with his cruiser. The other officer and Warren ran to the dock, jumped in, and lifted the exhausted moose calf to safety. The wobbly, tired calf splayed out on the boardwalk before the officer helped right him. The calf found its mother, who was seen licking the lake water off its body.
So sweet. Now over to Brookfield Zoo, Chicago. 2 male koalas, Brumby and Willem, are settling into their new home.
They are the first koalas in the zoo's history. Their arrival marks an important milestone in their species conservation and environmental education efforts.
The koalas are a vulnerable species. Willem is 2 years old and Brumby is turning 2 in August.
Both were born at San Diego Zoo and have Aboriginal names. Brumby means wild horse and Willem means hut.
This summer, get ready for a massive explosion in space. NASA scientists have announced an upcoming NOVA event. It will be so bright that we should be able to see the explosion of light with the naked eye. According to NASA, there's a remnant of a dead star about the size of the Earth, about 3,000 light years away, and it's expected to explode sometime this summer. NASA continues to track it, but the exact date when the event will happen is unknown. NASA's NOVA expert has called this explosion a once-in-a-lifetime event. It should be visible for about a week.
And jutting out of the rocks in a remote mountain range near Las Vegas, the glimmering rectangular prism's reflective surface imitates the vast desert landscape surrounding the mountain peak where it has been erected. The strange monolith looks like it could have come from another world.
Where it came from, or if it's still there, is a mystery. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service says they're still trying to solve that. They learned about it Monday through a social media post.
Las Vegas police said on X that members of its search and rescue unit found the object over the weekend. It was near Gas Pass, part of the vast desert National Wildlife Refuge.
Photos accompanying the department's post show the strange structure standing tall against a bright blue sky with a distant view of the Las Vegas Valley.
The police department didn't immediately respond to requests for more information about their discovery.
Fascinating. Well, for round-the-clock original news coverage, you can visit us at ntd.com or download our NTD app.
And be sure to stick around for NTD Newsroom at 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll cover more stories from the U.S. and around the world.
This is it.